go by me, and he'd make a mistake. I'd go by him, lappers getting in the way and stuff. The track was just brutal out there, but it was good.
Yeah, I'm happy to bring in a P2, and man, I'm so thankful for this team giving me the opportunity, and I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Man, just what an opportunity and blessing to be here, and I'm so happy.
It was like the third lap. I found something different, and I pushed to the front of the XC1 pack, and I just kept getting around people without them even noticing because my bike was so quiet because there's mud over the exhaust. But I just started picking people off, and then me and Johnny were in a battle, and I think he didn't have any brakes, and he hit me, and then a bunch of mud went in my eye, and I had no goggles on, and then from there on out, I really couldn't see anything. I was like blinking the whole time, and I really can't see anything right now. It's really cloudy, but I just made my way to the finish. I really wanted that overall again, but winning the class will do.
No, I knew he would be good here. We've spent a lot of time riding conditions like this, and I think that definitely paid off. It was fun overall. The conditions were actually, I would say, better than last year.
Here's some noise. This is your overall podium from the VP Racing Fuels Big Buck GNCC.
Progressive Grand National Cross Country Series and AMA National Championship returns to the sands of Palatka, Florida for the 2026 Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. Who will we find on top? Can Johnny Gerard, the Chief, make something happen again here at round number 2? Will Jordan Ashburn get himself up to the top spot? Could we see some of our XC2 defenders like Nick DeFeo or Angus Reardon up at the top of the mix? Who is it going to be that stands at the top of the podium here at round number 2? All that and more coming at you on Racer TV.
Are you ready to go GNCC Racing?
Look at that. That is a full XC1.
Is this a NASCAR race? I think if Johnny can maybe send it around the outside like he's trying to do there. Justo gets the overall win with an elapsed time of 3:10.04, edging out Stu Baylor by less than 3 seconds.
Racing dirt bikes, it's a lifestyle. It's something where every single choice you make sets you on the path to how you're going to succeed or perform. You live this every second of the day.
Stu hauling the mail.
Stu is one of the most gritty riders out there.
Johnny out front, Caleb pushing as hard as he can.
This is everything they have. That was a battle.
That was a hell of a ride by both of those men. Like he's got a cougar on the back of the bike.
Stu Baylor taking the inaugural Talladega GNCC win. Been doing a great job, extremely patient, extremely intelligent out there, even in the heat of battle, and it's paying off for him right now.
2 wins in a row for King Kelly.
Overall leader Grant Davis, as well as your physical leader out on the course.
Checkers are wreckers, and Grant Davis comes out on top, your overall winner on corrected time and physically.
3 hours is a long time. 3 hours of racing is gnarly.
I know I can show up, and I know I can win on any given week.
Hello everyone, and welcome to round number 2 of the Progressive Grand National Cross Country Series, the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. As we return back to the sands of Florida, the excitement is high, Johnny.
Absolutely, and coming off an absolutely wild round 1, Jackson. We had completely different conditions on Saturday and Sunday just 2 weeks ago in South Carolina. Obviously, picture-perfect conditions on Saturday, and Sunday, Mother Nature absolutely just brought the pain. The track was completely covered in water. We saw a lot of attrition, a lot of riders not finishing, but when it came right down to it, it was a good battle, and Johnny Gerard coming out on top, our former 2024 GNCC overall champion, coming out, grabbing the first win of 2026 and showing that he's back and maybe better than ever, looking so strong throughout that race, putting in a big charge at the end and wrestling away that win. Rounding out the podium from round 1, we had Jordan Ashburn in the number 2 spot in XC1 and also overall, and then the kid that just loves big buck, Nick DeFeo, fresh off that win there a year ago, the overall win, almost doing it again, leading much of the race and coming through for the win in that XC2 class and rounding out the overall podium in third. It was a battle, not only against each other, but against the conditions, Jackson.
Yeah, Nick DeFeo putting up quite the fight, but like the man himself said, the Chief is back, baby. So the Chief is back. Johnny Gerard is back in full action, and this is a track here at round number 2 that we saw him put on possibly, if not most definitely, his best performance of 2025 right here at Wild Boar.
Yeah, absolutely. So you know his confidence has to be high coming into the race here today, but we actually had a chance to catch up with Johnny and get his thoughts.
Yeah, it's good, man. Picking up the win at the first round is always a good thing. It kind of gets the momentum rolling and the energy for the year. So yeah, always love Florida and love the sand. I'm from Southwick, MX338 motocross track, so grew up riding the sand and excited to get things rolling. I've had plenty of good races here with Stu, with Caleb, with Ben, with a lot of people. So yeah, it's definitely a survival race, but if there's a couple fit guys at the end, it can turn into a battle for sure.
And there you got to hear it from Johnny Gerard. Now let's hear it from second place Jordan Ashburn.
Pretty excited about getting a good result first round. Last year I had a DNF first round, so yeah, just excited coming into the weekend and ready to carry on the momentum through the year and just keep chipping away at it.
All right, so there you heard it from the man who likes the mud himself and performed very well at round 1, Jordan Ashburn, with a strong performance to open up 2026, and another strong performance grabbing that XC2 win. Nick DeFeo, we had a chance to catch up with him as well and hear his thoughts coming into round 2.
My mental is definitely better this year. Last year I had a lot of doubt in myself, but this year I came back to a good start of the season, and really hoping to look forward to keep building my confidence for the whole season, and yeah, just really wanting to do better this whole season than just be the guy at Big Buck.
And there it is from Nick DeFeo. And one notable thing worth mentioning, Johnny, is he was able to push off his team honor there from an overall podium.
Absolutely. Stu Baylor being pushed off the overall podium by his young understudy, Nick DeFeo. You know Stu wants to come back today, put himself on that overall podium. Still on the podium in XC1, so a solid start to the season for him. But at the same time, you know he wants to do better here this weekend. Another rider we know looking for redemption here today, Ben Kelly, our defending series champion, with barely inside the top 10 with a 9th overall at round 1 at Big Buck. A rider that's always strong here in the sands of Florida, seems to be very fit. His riding style suits this track very well. We know he's going to be looking for redemption, and a whole slew of others, whether it's XC1, XC2, all these other riders going to be looking to really get the season back on track if it didn't go the way they wanted at round 1. And to see what these guys are going to be facing out there today, our man Zach Herron got a chance to catch up with Jared Bolton for our Yamaha Racing track description.
All right, thanks, guys. Now, Jared, we know round 2 down here in Florida is one of the most physically demanding tracks that we have almost all season long. What's in store for the riders this year, specifically in 2026?
Well, specifically this year, they're in store for 17 whoops within the first, couple hundred yards.
You scared me there for a second.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, you're right. This is the most physically demanding course of the year. It's going to be the first time it's been warm. So, these guys come down here and ride. They train. They're kind of used to it already. But it's still a lot different when you go racing. What we did do this year is we made the course a little bit longer. The bikes are up over 14 miles. The quads are over 12. So that little bit of extra length is going to spread everybody out. And what that does is actually kind of helps make things a little bit less rough as the weekend wears on. But, again, big, fun, flowy course, really fast in places, and then there's a little bit of single track out there to tighten things up as well. But again, it's all about the brutal sand whoops here.
There we go. Going to be as rough as ever. A little bit longer of a course this season, but the racing going to be as close as ever. Back to you guys.
There you got to hear it from the trail boss himself, Mr. Bolton. So without any further ado, everybody, let's throw it down at the starting line with Zach Herron for some 10-second calls.
Everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? I don't do that. This reminds me of my bike. The Wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way?
Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank.
Hey!
Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Let's take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a night. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence. Order online at amsoil.com.
Unleash aggression, reliability, and premium quality with Kenda tires, delivering exceptional performance on all types of vehicles: automotive, ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, bicycles, trailers, lawn and garden, and even golf. Trust Kenda tires to guide you on your next adventure. Kenda, designed for your journey.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, not only here on site in beautiful Palatka, Florida, but all of the fans watching around the world live on RacerTV.com. This is round number 2 of the 2026 Progressive Grand National Cross Country Racing Series, the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. A beautiful day here on Sunday, and I tell you what, you thought yesterday's racing action was intense. I can't wait to see the 3 hours of battle that we have in store. Without further ado, let's get ready to introduce your XC1 Open Pro class, starting off in accordance of points. He's making his way out of King, North Carolina. He's on that FMF KTM factory-backed machine. Put your hands together for the number 80 of Johnny Gerard. Rolling to the line next. He makes his way out of Livingston, Tennessee. He's on that Phoenix Racing Honda. Put your hands together for the number 3 of Jordan Ashburn. Coming to the line next. He makes his way out of Donald, South Carolina. He's on that Rocky Mountain Red Bear Kawasaki. Put your hands together for the 514 of Stu Baylor. Rolling to the line next, making his way out of Waynesburg, Pennsylvania. He's on that Rockstar Energy Husqvarna factory racing machine. It's the 342 of Craig DeLong. Headed to the line next. He makes his way out of Mocksville, North Carolina on that Morning Duck Racing JDP suspension and Moose Racing backed Honda. It's the 336 of Ryder Lafferty. Up next, he's featured on your Moto Tees shirt for the weekend. He makes his way out of Waynesburg, Pennsylvania on the Ampro Yamaha. Put your hands together for the 198 of Liam Draper. Headed to the line next. He's rocking the #1, your defending XC1 champ out of Harlington, Connecticut on the FMF KTM factory racing machine. Put your hands together for Ben Kelly. Up next, he's on the #8. He's out of Catawba, North Carolina on the Phoenix Racing Honda. It's the #8 of Mike Wachowski. Up next, out of Messhoffen, Pennsylvania, on the FMF KTM factory racing machine. He's rocking the #2 this year. Put your hands together for Grant Davis. Headed to the line next. He makes his way out of Canada on the Valley Yamaha and Callis Moto-backed machine. Put your hands together for the 995 of Tyler Matalia. Coming to the line next, out of Honey Pass, South Carolina on the Rocky Mountain Red Bear Kawasaki. It's the 314, the Grizzly, Grant Baylor. Coming to the line next, he makes his way out of Hickory, North Carolina, also on the Rocky Mountain Red Bear Kawasaki. Put your hands together for the 206 of Josh Toth. Coming up next, he's on that #99 machine. He's out of Sterling, Illinois on the Liquimolly factory beta racing backed machine. It's Cody Barnes. Coming up next, also on that Liquimolly factory beta racing machine, he's out of Denver, North Carolina. It's the big #7 of Josh Strang. Coming up next, he's out of Williamstown, West Virginia. He's on the Racecraft Husqvarna. It's the 989 of Bad Thad Duval. And last but certainly not least, he makes his way out of Boonville, North Carolina. He's on that Ampro Yamaha. Put your hands together for the 557 of Caleb Russell. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your XC1 Open Pro class. Throwing out some high fives to the fans here, gonna make their way to that starting line as things about to get serious. There it is, DJ Judd hops out of the Mobile Entertainment Activation Transport into the R-Max 1000. I can't see it, but I'm sure there's a sparkly helmet involved. And say it with me now, DJ Judd, remove the meat. This is what it's all about. Arguably the toughest round of the season right here at round 2. Some riders trying to carry the momentum they started the season off with. Other riders looking to turn the tables here at round 2, get momentum back on their side. Can't forget the dogfight we had last year between Johnny Gerard and Caleb Russell. Caleb lining up all the way to the inside.
As here we go. They get the bikes fired up. The last bit of encouragement from the mechanics. Game plan going to be a big part of this one. Here we go. 1 minute from Ricky Towery. The 1 minute call. As all eyes focus on the inside of turn number 1. Ricky takes a look down at the watch. And here we go, blue flag waves, blue flag waves. Shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. As we're just about ready to go racing. The sun is shining, the fans are smiling, the sand's about to be flying. I gotta ask, are you ready to go GNCC racing? Come on now, guys, the rain has gone away. We got blue skies, a beautiful course. One more time, Florida, are you ready to go GNCC racing? 10 seconds for row number 1, your XC1 Open Pro. Flags up, here we go. It's a drag race heading into turn 1. Jordan Ashburn up the inside. There's the big number 1, a big Kelly. Oh, Kelly gets stuck. We got Bar banging. It's going to be Tyler Medaglia grabbing the XC1 Pro hole shot as we got chaos in those first couple of corners. Let's see, Medaglia going to hold on to the lead. Looks like Grant Davis in that number 2 spot with maybe Ashburn in 3rd. Oh boy, some of the heavy hitters got their work cut out for them. As here we go. All eyes back on Ricky Towery. As we get ready for your XC2 250 Pro. Blue flag waves, shut them down. Gus Reardon, Jack Walker, Jack Edmondson, Jason Tino, Brody Johnson, T-Rex, Nick DeFeo, Gavin Simon, XC2 in 10 seconds. There's the flag, here we go. Gavin Simon, Philip Jane, Landon Lynn, Christopher Paris, JoJo Cunningham, Jason Lipscomb, Alexander Galgen, and Philip Dadrins. Let's see. Looks like that is Tiptoe Tino. Tiptoeing his way up the inside, but how long can he hang on to that lead? Was that Johnson that possibly made the pass? Already so many jockeying of positions, passes being made in these first few corners. As we're clean and clear, focus back now. 10 seconds, 250A. Lane Whitmer, Colton Shields, Michael DeLosa, Ryan Piper, Joshua Connor, Dylan McDaniel, Robert Weiss, Cooper Jones, Chase Landers, Collier Martinez, James Jenkins, Dylan De La Cruz. Let's see. Oh, no doubt about it. That's a 587 on the helmet. Let's see. Elliott Cox, Caleb Wood, Hunter Smith, Ty Atkinson, Zach Hayes, JoJo Sheraton, Bodie Wallner, Lane Smith, and Owen Barnes. One rider with a late start, but off and rolling, got plenty of time to catch back up. Here we go, 4-stroke A lights in 10 seconds. Doc Smith, Brody Amos, Logan Pellegrini, Brady Beerbaum, Ryan Amancio, Lennox Riley, Bruce Woodrum, Preston Horton, Austin Sakanikas, Jack Whalen, Tyler Shields, Travis Lentz. Let's see. That's the 5'11 of Jinx Fustini grabbing that whole shot. Carlo Clary, Nathan Atkins, Jonathan Maynella, Nash Pearson, Fletcher Tucker, Cale Kirkman, Braden Paisley, Sky Metcalf, Benjamin Blown, Wiley Tucker, Ethan Fitzgerald, Logan Renninger, and Jacob Thomas. Big class there in 4-stroke A lights. As we keep the party rolling, back to Ricky Towery we go. Open A in 10 seconds. Cole Whitmer, Landon Wentz, Ranger Emmons, Van Adams, Colby Goodman, Jonathan McDougall, Braxton Gross, Will Stephenpfeifer, Trevor Houlihan, Alan Atkins, Ruger Morgan, Taylor Beckwith, Alexander Gauthier, Benjamin Ward. That is the 518. on the bike out in front leading the belay. I believe that's Whitmer. Benjamin Ward, Jeremy Wallstrom, Tyler Mumford, Colton Kuntz, Gregory Carr, Brady Myers, Caleb Ferguson. All off and rolling. 10 seconds. 158 coming at you, Charlie Simpson. Camden Krause, Colton McQuarrie, Caleb Johnson, Gabriel Jimenez, and Landon Barker. Drag race into turn one. Let's see. It's going to be the number 86 leading them across. Oh, one rider down hard, the 155. Looks like that's Landon Barker, 457 on the helmet. Picks that thing up, gets it going, no problem. 10 seconds. Vet A 30 plus. There it is. Chance Malin, Joshua Watson, David Kumacek, Trainer Cully, Max Freezy, Ryan Neff, Matt Modick, William Sheriff, Sammy Doris, and Andrew Boggs. Who's it going to be? Looks like that might have been the 376 of Kumacek grabbing the early lead. But already, man, some contact. Looks like it's a Yamaha now taking over that number one spot. 10 seconds. Junior A 25 plus. Walker Hashman, Shane Halverson, Joey Crown, Nick Taliskin, Scott Galler, Eli Childers, Devin Hall, Caleb Hagan, Tyler Braniff, Wyatt Ford, Aaron Higgins. Let's see, that's the 442 of Tyler Braniff with the whole shot. Zach Bumgarner and Braden Moore all out there as well. Seconds. Senior A 40 plus, Joe Marsh, Frank Messina, Pete Petruni, Fernando Pino, Giliard Millo, Melizano Batista, Chris Hockey, Jesse Arsenal, Felipe Bustamante. Let's see. Looks like it is the 095 of Pete Petruni grabbing the whole shot. David Espinoza, Travis Geen, Danny Hampsey, Sean Clark, Adam Clark, and Jeff Curry all out there as well, trying to get a couple of bikes fired up here out of the first corner, trying to bump that thing. Here we go. Next line, open B, 10 seconds. Flags up, Caden Hannon, Luke Thurfield, Zachary Brezu, Luke Warner, Samuel Oster, Austin Bittinger, Jacob Blakely, Landon Bauer, Dylan Bailey, Keegan Storms, Ben Thomason, Coulter Taylor, Colton Painter, and Ryan Savold. Looks like that might be the 283 of Austin Bittinger, grabbing the early race lead, putting a few bike links, headed into turn number 3. We take a look now. 10 seconds. 4-stroke B lights. It's up. Owen Mock, Tucker McCrary, Jay Doyle, Bryson Milligan, Alan Geen, Maddox Moretz, Philip Likens, Kid Norris, Will Thurfield, Hunter Carey, Michael Morgan, Seth Miller. Look at the start out there. Maybe this didn't even see the number on that one. Michael Morgan, Seth Miller, and Sam Klein all out there as well. It's a KTM with quite the jump out front. Oh, one rider down in that second corner. Here we go, 10 seconds. Gonna take just a second, all that rider down. Looks like we're gonna hold this next line, see if we can get that bike picked up and moved out of the way. 250B sitting on the line. The official doing a great job moving that machine out of the way. All right, here we go. Track is clear. Here we go. Ricky Towery says 10 seconds for 250B. There it is, Michael Struick, David Page, Brandon Bailey, Andrew Adams, Chad Rager, Levi Jones, Bailey Shadwell, Christian McCauley, Jordan Mongerin, John Fee, Nolan Poxick, William Boggs, Matt Gray. It's a drag race. It's a Kawasaki. Looks like that's Riven out front leading the way. Tyler Irvin on the Kawasaki. Brady Griffin, Spencer Knight, Mason Zoll all out there as well. A couple of riders down hard, but they pick it right back up. Oh, a bit of a pile up there in turn number 3. Here we go. 150B, 10 seconds. Flags up, Jagger X signs, Dak Johnson and Dylan Royer headed into that first turn. Oh, it's a drag race, pulling every bit of that power. The 238 of Jagger X sign on the gas. As we turn our attention to Senior B, 40 plus, 10 seconds. Flags up, Larry Hopper, Marlon Rapiro, Bennett Phipps, Rory Art, Steven Turkleson, Philip Solon, Jason Corbin, Morris Chrysler, Daniel Brown, Jeremy Nance, Chad Murphy, Brian Harper, Joey Nachi, and Bob Raber. It's the 590 of Jeremy Nance on the KTM leading the way. First few corners looking clean. Here we go. Junior B, 25 plus, sitting on the line. 10 seconds. Austin Belasca, Billy Saliga, Zachary Angelo, Bradley Stolenbarger, Casey Munger, Dustin Caddo, Eric Thumser, Hunter Perdue, Dylan Fleming, Cameron Hughes, Tyler Daniel, and Michael Hall. Let's see. That's the 4.56 of Cameron Hughes on the KTM. Charging hard into that second turn. He wanted that whole shot. As everybody makes their way clean and clear. 10 seconds. Vet B, 30 plus. Thomas Connors, Carl Theodore, Aaron Judson, Max Otsachenko, Cody Johnson, Cody Childers, Alexander Steinhoff, Arno, Leroy Petrie, Scott Coleman, Andrew Cook, Jason Foltz. Let's see, 851 on the helmet. Dustin Stanley gonna grab the whole shot in that one. Joseph Evans, Scott Grubbs, Ricky Stanley all out there as well. One more rider making their way into turn one, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is a clean and clear start, which means we're officially off and rolling. The 2026 Moose Off-Road Wild Boar GNCC officially underway. We're going to grab a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with more racing action here live on Racer TV.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence. Order online at amsoil.com.
Unleash aggression, reliability, and premium quality with Kenda Tires. Delivering exceptional performance on all types of vehicles. Automotive, ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, bicycles, trailers, lawn and garden, and even golf. Trust Kenda Tires to guide you on your next adventure. Kenda, designed for your journey.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gasket seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best inside their engine. Cometic Gaskets are always constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environments. Whether it's a championship on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts alike depend on Cometic. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989. Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gasket seals your machine.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Nope, we got nothing. Check. Check. There we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to round number 2, the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. My name is Jackson Burrell. I'm alongside the one, the only Johnny Gallagher, and we'll be joined here in just a few minutes by Zach Heron, who you heard on the starting line just a few minutes ago. Johnny, good to be back in the Sunshine State.
Yep, Jackson, it is good to be back in the Sunshine State here for round 2 of the 2026 series. And I'll tell you what, this imagery that we're seeing on the screen right now, this is about the most beautiful thing we're going to see today, because from here on out, we are going to witness 3 hours of brutality. 180 minutes of these guys pushing themselves to the absolute limit, and things got kicked off here just a few moments ago. We got to see our XC1 and XC2 starts. Here we've got our specialized start recap, and we're going to see just who got out front first. Here is round 1 winner, Johnny Gerard. A little high five for the fans. The kids love that. Get them hyped up for the day. Jordan Ashburn, Caleb Russell, all getting lined up, and Ricky Towery with the famous 10-second motion, which our man Zach Heron made the call on. And when it was all said and done and the green flag dropped, everybody quick on the trigger and off the line quickly, but just a little bit more quickly. Way from the outside there, it was Tyler Medaglia visiting with us here. He just edged out Jordan Ashburn and Grant Davis and was quickest through the first couple corners, getting away with that XC1 Pro Class hole shot. He will be with us today. Does not run the full series, but a very, very fast rider here in the stands, a rider coming out of Canada.
Yeah, great start for him, able to swing that outside and just about perfectly executed on that one. Moving now to our XC2 250 Pro-Am start. And as they headed into turn number 1, it looked as if it was going to be the KTM rider, and it was to the line. Jason Tino able to get it done.
Jason Tino also up there in the mix as well. Brody Johnson actually getting out of the third turn the fastest, and right there with him. There was a whole slew of other XC2 riders there as well. Looked like the factory Liquimala Beta of Jack Walker up there in the mix. And this is what they're facing here today, Jackson. 14 miles of brutality. If you watched yesterday's coverage, Bryson Neal describing it as nothing short of a torture chamber. That moisture that came in for us on Friday, really kind of packing the sand tight, making the bumps very sharp, and just absolutely brutal on the riders. It's a long track. We'll see what the lap times are, but here's a little preview of what things looked like on Friday before that rain rolled in. And you can see it was actually dusty and loose. Not the case anymore. Things have changed up quite a bit, Jackson.
Yeah, as you can see from this, very, very dry when we got here on Thursday and Friday. The rain came down Friday night, and it's slightly muddy on Saturday. However, not quite the case. Sun is out, and the KTM boys are flying right now here at the Mile 7, the FMF PowerPoint.
There you go. So we saw Johnny Gerard coming through there, and Grant Davis as well. And now here comes the rest for the gentleman who took it right down to the final race of 2025 for that overall championship, and your defending XC2 champion running that number 2. Out of racing action left, and things are sure to start heating up here very soon. Jackson, it'll be interesting to see how this race shapes up. Everybody coming in talking about just how brutal the track was yesterday, kind of maybe getting in these guys' minds a little bit. And I'm curious to see if we're going to see anybody try to sprint and get away, which is exactly what Tyler Medaglia is doing right now, or if they're going to kind of settle into a pace and see how the race develops.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And have to wonder, Medaglia, not a rider that we're too familiar with, at least the last few seasons here at GNCC Racing. So going to be interested to see how long he can hang up there, how well his fitness is, and see if that comes into play. As now we see Whitmer making his way through, one of our A-class riders.
Yep, 250A. I don't know if this is the leader, but one of our front runners was running very, very high up in the overall 2 weeks ago at the very muddy, very wet Big Buck GNCC. Unfortunately, having some bike issues. Coming through now is the 220 of Cooper Jones, who actually led the overall 2 weeks ago at Big Buck for quite a bit of our race, ending up with a very impressive overall finish there. Rounding things out, I think just outside the top 10 is where he ended up. Looks like we got some more of our A-class riders coming through now as well. Can't quite make out the number on that rider, the 717. I believe that might be Barnes coming through. And these guys, man, they are pushing the pace early. This is going to look a whole lot different about 2.5 hours from now coming through this section. They're still going to be pushing just at a much slower speed because this track is just going to continue to get rough. Worth mentioning, when we looked at that track preview, the GNCC crew going out and reclaiming, if you will, with the little mini bulldozers and pushing as much of the sand back into place, trying to smooth it out and give at least the morning racers as smooth a track as they possibly could this morning. But it is going to continue to shape up and get rough very quickly, guys.
No doubt. Watching our amateur riders here, this section in particular, I've talked to Zach about it all weekend long. I was able to go out there with OPAG and take a lap, and this is such a deep section here in this FMF PowerPoint. Definitely a different style of sand than what we see on the rest of the course, as now we pop up to our leader of Medaglia making his way by, and man, a good start to this one for him.
Yep, looking good. Johnny Girard charging there as well. And Grant Davis, you can tell, kind of marking his FMF Red Bull KTM teammate Johnny Girard. I think two riders that we anticipate being up front, but right now they're chasing Medaglia, and he looks really smooth. Looks like he's picking some good lines, carrying his speed. Jordan Ashburn, a threat to win every week in and week out, and things tightening up behind him. Now it's Wachowski, Baylor. It is Cody Barnes, Caleb Russell. Then it is Josh Strang, Ben Kelly, Liam Draper, Craig DeLong, Thad Duvall coming through there. So that's about the entirety of that XC1 Pro class there. And these guys, I was asking if we might see kind of a pace race. Right now, it doesn't look like an all-out sprint, but the pace definitely very high here for early on in this one, Zach. It looks like these guys know they can't let anybody get a gap, get out front. It's too much energy to try to run them down later in the race. Looks like we might be working our way back to some of our XC2. Oh, Ryder Lafferty on the 336 machine there. Coming through, and then it is
that Tino?
Looks like it is the 226 of Jason Tino. So able to carry that whole shot here at least 9 miles. He's out front and no company, so he is setting a great pace there, the leader of that XC2 class.
Yeah, and I feel like this year you've been able to see, I believe this is going to be Johnson making his way through on the Husqvarna machine, and you can tell who's feeling confident in their fitness as well. We talked about the pace race. Everybody's seeing how hard they wanted to push early, and Jack Walker, it looks like there's Grant Baylor, who's fallen off that XC1 group just a bit. I believe this may be DeFeo.
Yep, DeFeo.
Making his way through as well. So these riders, kind of, you want to find out how much gas you got in the tank, if that makes sense. Somebody like T-Dag Tyler Medaglia, like we talked about, this is not surprising. He's been training down here in Florida. Actually just had a really good run on Tuesday at the J-Day event here on Racer TV. And so he's wanting to carry that momentum into the weekend, a multi-time Canadian champion as well. But the question is, how deep does that gas tank go? How long does he have? The 3-hour-long battle that we saw last year coming down to the wire between Johnny Girard and Caleb Russell showed, I don't think these guys give 100%. I think they give 102, 105, because they had truly nothing left after the race. And just like we heard from Bryce and Neil yesterday, arguably one of the fittest racers in the field of GNCC, you just have to embrace the suffering and enjoy that torture tremor. Yeah, so Tyler, a multi-time champion there in Canada. He's a super accomplished racer in many different disciplines, and he represented Canada in Motocross of Nations before. So no surprise to see him out front, and especially to see him running the speed. The question, and oftentimes we see kind of the multi-discipline riders, the rude awakening is about that hour-and-a-half plus mark, where it finds out, hey, these guys are still, they're like the Energizer Bunny. They just keep going. And so right now, Johnny Girard, Grant Davis, both riders we know enjoy the suffering. They like feeling like they are able to break their competition. Meanwhile, Caleb Russell, who I know looking to prove something here a bit further back in the pack, but we know he's got that grittiness that seems almost unmatchable at times. So it comes down to a mixture of speed, fitness, and I hate to say it, but just toughness.
Absolutely, and Tyler Medaglia, obviously, with his accomplished resume, he's pushed himself. We surely can't count him out of this one, but exciting for him just to be out front here leading. I know his son now races. I believe they went over and did the J-Day earlier this week over at Bostwick, just about 40 minutes from here. So he's already got some riding in the sand, and coming out of Canada, there's a lot of sand up there, a lot of sand tracks, and he surely has the skill set to run this pace and sustain it. We'll see just how much not only he has in the tank, but it's also different. When these guys are racing for a championship, they know that points are so important. For Tyler Medaglia, doesn't run the entire GNCC series. At some point it becomes, how deep are you willing to go when it's just kind of a one-off event for you? That was a very, very big push there from Johnny Girard, and ultimately making the pass on Tyler Medaglia, taking over the lead. He took that outside line from camera and just carried way more speed through that section. Medaglia opting for that, looking to be a little bit smoother inside line, and Johnny Girard just blitzing around the outside. We have a new leader on screen.
So Johnny Girard takes over that #1 spot. Curious to see how Johnny plays this next section. We know what Grant Davis is capable of, and I'm sure got a bit of a chip of the shoulder here at round 2, wanting to show what he can do with XC1, and we were actually able to catch up with your new leader, Johnny Girard. Talk to him about doing battle here in the sands of Florida.
Yeah, it's good, man. Picking up the win at the first round is always a good thing. It kind of gets the momentum rolling and the energy for the year. So yeah, always love Florida and love the sand. I'm from Southwick, MX338 motocross track, so grew up riding the sand and excited to get things rolling. I've had plenty of good races here with Stu, with Caleb, with Ben, with a lot of people. So yeah, it's definitely a survival race, but if there's a couple fit guys at the end, it can turn into a battle for sure.
And there you have it.
We saw that last year. There's no doubt about it. It can turn into a heated battle, and it can be that way for hours, and we're seeing it right now on screen.
We see the battle heating up front. Looks like Grant Davis suddenly a little bit of sense of urgency, seeing his teammate there on that KTM squad get around Medaglia, and now Davis looking like he badly wants to get around as well. Does not want to let Johnny Girard get away, but not too much to worry about. T-Dags, he's dug in, and he's kind of latched onto the back of Girard, maybe thinking, hey, we'll make this race a little easier. Let's get a big gap on these guys behind us so we can cruise later.
Well, and it did look like we had a bit of a two-rider breakaway when we saw them at that FMF power point. Not too far, but it just goes to show these guys are pushing the pace a little bit. And as Johnny gets a bit of clean air, we'll see whether or not he can start to chip away, put a few seconds between himself and the rest of the field. The question is if he's bringing his new teammate here in the XC1 class along with him.
Yeah, Grant Davis looking pretty set on trying to get up there with Girard, but then T-Dags fires back, actually pulls it back out a little bit on Grant Davis. This section of racetrack here, as you can see, out near the main road there, coming into the Hogwaller facility, they're going to be coming back into the sections where the water likes to lie, where it gets its name from, Hogwaller. A lot of mud events held out here for everything from side-by-sides to trucks and mud trucks and everything else, and these riders are going to kind of carefully pick their way through that section. We've already seen some of that, just the slight wrong move in this morning's race. Corey Steed leading with just a few miles to go, electing an alternate line to get around a lapped rider and ultimately submerging her machine, getting stuck, giving up that lead. Still coming in second, didn't cost her a finish, but it did cost her the win. So just the slightest little change in line, even sometimes 6 inches out here in this section of racetrack, not exactly where they're at right now, but we'll see them coming through. It can really prove costly, so these guys are going to probably take their time. They've pedaled the course. They know where their lines are chosen. And Grant Davis squaring up Tyler Medaglia around the outside and makes the pass. Grant Davis into P2.
Man, a beautiful move there from Grant Davis. You saw him set it up a few corners in advance, trying to straighten things out. And getting word from race control, the water on your screen right there, we're hearing in certain spots is like incredibly deep. So these riders having to be very careful. Jackson, we had Rachel Gudish calling that AM race with us, and she said she likes to go out and actually step into things. She wants to find out exactly how deep it is on the body. That way she doesn't have any concern about it. But just like we said, these riders facing a lot of different conditions. And we see the sunshine, but that does not mean there's not still a ton of variables. As look at this, Medaglia trying to bring the fight back to Davis.
How about it, trying to square them up as they make their way back through some of the water. And like you were talking about with those holes, Zach, we saw it at round number 1 with Taylor Jones leading the way in the WXC class, completely submerging the bike to the point that she was not able to finish.
So trying to
save machine as much as man itself. We've got a tight little switchback here section as they get ready to make their way into the pits. A little slideways action there for Johnny Girard is really slowing things down. You see that definitely going to be a popular spot for hydration as T-Dags once again putting a move on Grant Davis.
How about that, side by side, and he's pushing the issue. I don't know if that's the person you want to push the issue with. Tyler Medaglia going to be right beside Grant Davis.
Well,
and he makes the move.
Yeah, he takes the position back, but if I was Grant Davis's team around him, I'm telling him to calm down, not get caught up in this mix. Grant Davis is worrying about a 3-hour-long battle, not just about a first-lap battle. We talked about Medaglia not being involved with the full series, so taking a little reset. Looks like Davis is going to do just that, kind of get recalculated and find another way to make his way around. T-Dag's in that number 2 spot. Still got his teammate just up in front of him where he can keep track on it. There we see, looks like Caleb Russell, Ben Kelly, Josh Strang making some moves, Liam Draper as well. As hydration going to be a big one in this as well, Johnny. We talk about it. It's kind of, sometimes if you're already thirsty, it's too late. So the riders needing to take water, even if they feel like they don't need it, got to stay consistent with it because sometimes it's too late before you even realize it.
Yeah, absolutely. You cannot get behind on your hydration in a race like this. You really do need to stay ahead of it. These guys have been hydrating for many days coming into this, using supplements, electrolytes, all kinds of things. They know they're going to go deep. They know they're going to be completely depleted by the end of this 3 hours. But I really like what Tyler Medaglia is doing, firing back here early. And not only is he chasing Girard, you look and you can see he's taking a lot of different lines. He's kind of searching out the smoother portions of the racetrack and just letting that big Yamaha 450 eat. And he's able to right now match the pace of last year's winner, Johnny Girard. And Grant Davis still back there, very much in the fight. But like you said, Zach, sometimes it's important.
He's
Tyler
down.
Medaglia does go down. Looked like he just kind of washed out there, lost the rear end. It came around on him, and he is back up and rolling, maintaining that number 3 spot. So now it will be the KTM teammates 1-2 of Girard and Davis.
I'm very impressed with Tyler Medaglia. There's no doubt about it. The speed is there, and hearing from OPAG, one of our, if not the oldest rider in the XC1 class, well into his 30s.
Yeah, T-Dags, like we said, he's got a resume to prove what he's capable of, and best believe he may not be running the series, but he is trying to fight for a podium, if not a win here today. Always a fierce competitor, no matter what kind of racing you see him line up at. And so, yeah, T-Dags not looking to just hang out. He's looking to take part and really fight for this podium.
And that's not something we ever, or I myself, have not saw in GNCC. We've not saw people that show up for a one-off event and get up onto the XC1 podium.
Well, it's funny, actually, the rider on screen, Johnny Girard, many years ago, in the midst of a Caleb Russell and Charlie Mullins battle. Johnny Girard, we spoke earlier about that J-Day series. He was a multi-time J-Day champion, had never really competed in GNCCs, might have done a few as an amateur, but he showed up on a KTM 2-stroke and was out there mixing it up, leading the way in between Caleb Russell and Charlie Mullins throughout much of that race. So it's been a while since we've seen a visiting rider. Back in 2022, Joseph Garcia came over, ran the first 2 rounds, and actually finished second here in Florida. The nice thing about Florida, if you're a visiting rider, is, you know, the rest of the field, not saying Tyler Medaglia isn't for sure, but maybe not even going to Talladega next weekend. So there's no thought of leaving anything in the tank, having to recover. It really is just, how fast can I go today? And right now, he's going very, very fast.
Yeah, we saw Oliveira coming over here and doing really well as well, but doing multiple races, not quite a one-off event like what we're talking about.
Yep, there you go. And now on screen, Josh Strang, Liam Draper. We did see Caleb Russell, Cody Barnes, and the rest all working their way through. Here comes Craig DeLong there on that 342 Husqvarna, and then the Racecraft Racing Husqvarna of Thad Duvall here 1 mile into lap number 2. Now, it's a little deceiving. They actually have run sections of this racetrack twice from the start to the finish. They do not go through scoring on lap number 1. So this is... They've already seen all this stuff a second time because they did run it coming through right off of the start. As we look at the running order on screen, just like we saw, we have here live scoring. The gaps, not a whole lot worth mentioning. Everything kind of tightening up from 3 on back. There is an 11-second gap from Grant Davis back to Tyler Medaglia, obviously as a result of that crash we just saw on screen, Medaglia losing touch with the lead group. But Stu Baylor putting in a charge, only 3 seconds behind Medaglia now, and then 6 seconds back to Cody Barnes, Witkowski, Ashburn, Russell, Kelly, Strang, Draper, DeLong, Duvall. As we start to see some of our XC2 riders now checking in, we'll see where they slot into the overall. Looks like Jason Tino, 4th overall, the leader from that XC2 class, and Gus Reardon, 7th overall, 2nd in XC2, 10.3 seconds behind. And then Jack Walker, 3rd place in that XC2 class, 12 seconds behind Reardon. That is all of the XC2 riders that have checked in as of now, but that is your podium runners here with 1 lap complete.
Ryder Lafferty passing by us just a second ago there on the screen. One of those riders, I believe, getting caught up there in turn number 1 along with Ben Kelly. And I believe this man as well going down there, Grant Baylor, in turn number 1.
Yep, Ryder Lafferty 1 minute and 4 seconds behind the rider in front of him, Thad Duvall. Now we see DeFeo coming through as well there, it looks like. And I believe we had some information that possibly Josh Toth may have gone down.
That's what I was about to say. I think that it might have been Toth instead of Baylor that I saw off the start there.
So if Toth hit the deck, he was a little further back when we saw them last. That looks like Brody Johnson possibly to me. We'll check and refresh our live timing and scoring. It was just behind DeFeo is Brody Johnson. So I did notice we were saying that was Brody Johnson earlier that was in the number 2 spot. He is falling back a little bit. It's actually not. It's Gavin Simon on the 249 out of that XC2 Pro Lights class, who is sitting in the, actually now they've just put him in. He was missing, maybe his transponder didn't score. He's actually sitting in 3rd place, displacing Jack Walker back to the 4th place spot. We've got some 258 riders checking in now. This is where it gets interesting. Inside the top 20, 18th overall, Lane Whitmer out of that 258 class, setting a really fast pace here early. Still now the only 258 rider having checked in.
Setting a super fast pace right now is the Red Bull KTM teammates of Johnny Gerard and Grant Davis. Looks like Davis trying to reel back in Johnny and see if he can make a pass, Jackson. I don't know, already seeing him peeking out some different lines, maybe just trying to avoid the spray of sand, but it definitely seems like Grant Davis wants to try to get himself in front. We saw Kawasaki, didn't look like that was Barnes. There's Wachowski. There is Caleb Russell on the Ampro Yamaha.
Was Badaglia still there, Zach?
I was about to say I didn't think I saw the Yamaha, but could have just missed it on our screen.
So continuing to watch the FMF Factory KTM riders. Man, what a day it would be for that FMF KTM squad if they were able to finish the way that they sit now after getting the win there with Brandy Richards in the WXC just a little while ago. And Brandy actually riding with a broken leg, Zach. I got to talk to her about it on the podium, and then able to pull off the win in conditions like this today. A big shout out to her.
Yeah, you think about it, grabbing the WXC win, running 1 and 2 in XC1, as well as Jason Tino in the XC2 leading at the moment, sitting 4th overall. So at the moment, yeah, probably some big smiles on the faces of KTM. But I also know how these teams are. They know 3 hours is a long time. They don't start smiling really until about 2.5 hours in. And even then, they're still holding their breath.
Well, speaking of that broken leg for Brandy Richards, we talked about it a little bit during the Big Buck show. She actually broke that leg during the race at Big Buck, still coming in a podium position and finishing out the race and saying, hey, we were able to get it x-rayed. Our safety on site team has a mobile x-ray unit. They checked her out. They said, you do have a broken leg, but you are able to, it is able to bear weight, so just take care of it as much as you can during the week and race on weekends. You want to know just how tough GNCC racers are. Brandy Richards coming back 2 weeks later and winning on a broken leg that she broke at round 1.
Yeah, I told her when she was on the podium, I don't know what to say other than you are one of the toughest people that I've ever met.
Yeah, a couple of riders a little banged up there after round number 1, including the man in the number 2 spot, Grant Davis. A little sore coming in here to Wild Boar. We were able to catch up with the number 2, talk to him about his feelings headed into round number 2.
It was good. I was leading and then started having some bike problems and went back, got it running better, and then got back out on the track, and then it just went out on me. But I was pumped with my riding, honestly, with a broken hand. I broke my hand Thursday before Big Bucks, so I was pretty happy with how I was riding. But other than that, my hand's getting better, and won the last sprint enduro, so built some more confidence up, so I'm ready.
Well, you can go ahead and say it, Jackson. 2026, the year of the earring. All right, I don't know what it is, but everybody, we've seen the movie Motocross where they all start painting their fingernails. Well, here at GNCC this year, everybody going to start getting the ears pierced. Do we have a side-by-side comparison of Johnny running deer and Grant Davis running the earrings now? Because I mean, you can't argue it. Yeah, okay, so let's see. We're going to bring Johnny up. We got a word with Johnny also rocking that earring. The horsepower, it's got to just be automatic.
Yeah, I like it. It's part of the tribe, you know. We're we're a team, we're a tribe, and people love it. You know, they think I'm a little crazy. I think they thought I was a little crazy before, but maybe this makes them think I'm a little bit more crazy. But yeah, it's all good. Just all good fun and games, and just, yeah, trying to be a little different.
Johnny started with the earrings, with the feather, the Indian or whatever, and I made a joke and I went and bought fake earrings off Amazon the other day, and I just got them in Thursday, and I just went and put them on for Timmy, and he's cracking up at me, but it's pretty funny. We got to get Ben on it now.
So there it is. The challenge is to get Ben Kelly rocking the earrings. I hear the mechanics are rocking earrings. Told. It's, you know, good to know they're, well, not good to know. I mean, everybody does their thing, but at least it's fake for Grant. I was like, man, that's a commitment from round 1 to round 2.
Well, I can tell you right now, Ben Kelly, if he does have earrings, they're going to be clip-ons. He's you know, his body's a temple, no tattoos, just a very clean-cut guy. But again, it's that team camaraderie. It really shows. Just, you know, these guys spend a lot of time together. The whole team has been down in Florida training. They spend almost the entire year together, and it's just, you know, it's really cool that they have that camaraderie. They're good friends off the track, but right now, Grant Davis isn't thinking about being buddies with Johnny Girard. He sees the number 80 in front of him. He knows that's a round one winner, and Grant Davis, knowing he scored 0 points at round 1, he wants to get that 30 points and start clawing back those points to get himself into the championship fight. Speaking of clawing back, Cody Barnes has just been making passes almost every time we see him on screen. He is now around Stu Baylor, bringing Mike Witkowski with him. Cody Barnes on that factory liquid moly beta is absolutely ripping.
Yeah, we talked about the flow we saw of Bryson Neal through this section yesterday. It's hard to find a flow in this, Jackson. They are absolutely slamming into these sand rollers. There you see Josh Strang and Craig DeLong making their way through as Thad Duvall tucks that inside line, and you can see checking up just a little bit more, but still up on the pegs, trying to keep as much momentum possible around these corners.
Yeah, a ton of youth riders starting it off here today, Zach. We had the track crew go through with what I like to call the little mini dozers, fix the track up. Then to start it off, we had those little wheelbase youth bikes breaking the track in. Then we had 491 riders out in our AM race.
Man, it looked like when you came down there, it looked like there was some kind of a party, maybe a rave going on. There was just people everywhere for that morning race start, really showing the popularity of GNCC racing. Looks like
a new leader.
Grant Davis coming through. Did we miss Johnny Girard?
I don't think so. In the other camera shot, or from the drone shot, it did look like, yep, that's it.
So how about
a new leader?
Grant Davis. We said he was bringing the fight to Johnny.
Tell you what,
looks like he did. Yeah.
Johnny looking like he was kind of sitting down
there.
Might have just been regathering himself up and kind of getting ready to go back after. But now is this Cody Barnes up into the number 3 spot. Witkowski, Baylor. So that's 4 and 5 on screen, and they are not at all far behind that lead duo. So they have definitely picked up the pace. Then it's Jordan Ashburn. Then it's Ben Kelly, who's looking racing in the last shot. Then it's Caleb Russell and Liam Draper.
So it looks like Tyler Medaglia has fallen off of that front duo. Meanwhile, Johnny Girard taking a second to think about a second earring as Grant Davis fully committed, and now he's taking over the lead. Meanwhile, Josh Strang, Craig DeLong, and there goes Thad Duvall as well. And this was a good start for Cody Barnes. We knew he was one of the names we talked about so much last year in the XC2 class, constantly pushing his way through the pack. He jumps over the factory liquid moly beta team and didn't quite get the start that he was hoping for to the season. But this goes to show, he said he's been feeling comfortable, said things have been going well. He gets a good start, shows he's got the speed. The question is, can he go the distance?
Well, having been down here all winter, I've seen Cody riding, and he definitely has the pace. There's no question about that. It's a new machine. You know, he said he immediately felt comfortable on it, and as soon as he got down to the sands of Florida, he said that big 480, he just lets it eat. And here is your XC2 leader, Jason Tino, now through, still well up into the top 10 overall. Uncorrected time. Looked like that was Reardon, who's now caught Jason Tino. Looked like Tino had a pretty insurmountable lead there just a few miles ago. But they are looking back now and seeing the number 6 of Gus Reardon, and he is pushing the pace.
Shout out Lane Whitmer, showing 17th overall that last time through. We'll see if he can continue to climb forward. But yeah, no doubt about it. Jason Tino, we knew he had the potential to be a title threat in this XC2 class, Jackson, but there were still some question marks around him. It looks like that might be Johnson and Jack Walker.
That's actually Gavin Simon. We keep
Simon.
Mixing those two up. That's the 249 of Gavin Simon. Brody Johnson just a little bit further back here, but the 249 and the 235 looking pretty similar out there today. And there is the 336 of Ryder Lafferty coming through now. And it's absolutely mayhem out there already. And looking at this section of racetrack, boys, think what this is going to look like in about, well, 4 more laps.
Not like this. That's about all I know. It is so crazy to see from one lap to the next. And even the riders on the podiums were talking about it. They're like, you want to try to think about where you're going to go next lap, but it changes so much. You're pretty much just constantly sight reading almost and thinking on the fly. No,
is that the race bike?
I believe so.
Johnny Gerard looking like he has departed this one. We're going to get a reporter down there to, it looks like Zach is going to head out of the studio here, go down. That is bad news. Johnny Gerard sitting there. I was hoping that was a practice bike and they were getting ready to pull some parts off, but as soon as we saw the dirt under the rear fender, it became obvious that that is, in fact, the machine he was on. So that crash, obviously leading, we could tell he was sitting down, just didn't seem to be charging through that camera shot, even though he was still in the number 2 spot. So that is a disastrous start to this race for round 1 winner and 2024 champion, Johnny Gerard.
That sure is. So Saul Johnson there, and now
Lane Whitmer coming through. Top amateur, sitting in 17th overall out of that 250A class.
And Johnny, I know the 80 machine had been dealing with some illnesses. I don't want to speculate, but man, you're going to get to hear in just a second exactly what's going on out there.
We'll definitely be respectful of that situation, but we'll see if we can get some information for you once it is available, whether that was a crash causing the departure from the race or another issue. But now we know for sure it leaves this man all alone out front. The number 2 of Grant Davis, second race in that XC1 Pro class, and out front leading the way.
Yeah, Grant going to definitely need to get some pit boards, let him know that he's ahead. Johnny, the sun has came out today. It is warming up very, very fast out there today. It is going to be a brutal 3 hours for these guys.
Jackson, we had very favorable racing temperatures. It wasn't all that comfortable walking around in the pits yesterday. Here we see now the second place rider of Cody Barnes. So we were talking about him charging through. He is now up to the number 2 spot. You can see the lap times on screen. So look at that. Jason Tino with a very fast lap out of that XC2 class, putting him up 3rd fastest on the lap times, and had him in 4th overall when they came through at the completion of lap number 1.
Seeing that time there from Tyler Medaglia, I'd just like to say hope all is well with Medaglia. One thing for sure, he can hang his head high knowing that the speed was there.
Absolutely. He definitely has the pace. Don't know if it's been an issue that has caused him to drop back or if it was just, hey, this track's pretty brutal. I'm going to pace myself and see if I can try to come out of this with a top 10. Looking at the running order on the left-hand side, it is just Lane Whitmer. Just 2 weeks ago, we saw so many A riders. We saw Cooper Jones leading the overall. At one point, I think we had 4 or 5 A riders inside the top 10 overall. Right now, it is just Lane Whitmer defending the honor of those A classes in that 16th spot overall, and he is on the move.
Sure is, waiting here at the mile 6 marker. And there's Jason Tino making his way through on that FMF factory KTM machine.
Tino, a rider that had a lot of hype coming into 2025, getting that Landers gas ride, getting injured right away, having to have knee surgery, not really getting to compete much at all last season. So this is kind of a redemption tour for him. Not the results that he wanted for sure at round number 1 in those conditions, but showing the strength of him and the new team on that factory FMF Red Bull KTM under that tent. You know, Jason Tino riding with a little bit of extra confidence today.
Hey, talking about strength, I was just versed up that Jason Tino, a very, very good wrestler. So no doubt about it, he's got some strength.
And we know wrestlers are tough. There is Gavin Simon. So he is in 3rd. We did see Gus Reardon come through as well there, just behind Jason Tino. He had closed that gap up, so we do know that is now a dogfight for the lead in that XC2 class. We expect that one to continue for a while, but would not be surprised to see Gus Reardon really up the pace if he's able to get to Tino, because he rides very well in the sand. He was one of that lead trio last year in that XC2 class that did so much damage in the overalls, and he was one of the riders often pushing the pace. Obviously himself, Cody Barnes, who's actually the other 2 riders are 1-2 on the track right now, which is Grant Davis and Cody Barnes. They have now moved up to that XC1 class, and just like that on screen, Grant Davis out front leading the way with a little bit of a gap over the 99 of Cody Barnes.
Well, one thing for sure with sections like this FMF PowerPoint, Reardon going to be able to get Tino in his sights, and I'm sure he is going to be smelling blood in the water as we see Barnes making his way through. Man, a great ride here from Barnes. What a day it would be if he could get himself up on the podium. Wachowski right there, and now seeing Stu Baylor making his way through.
Yep, sitting in the number 4 spot, it is Stu Baylor. Then it's Ben Kelly in 5th, looking like he is dragging Jordan Ashburn and Caleb Russell with him there in 6th and 7th, and then Liam Draper in 8th. Physically on the racetrack. We'll see where Jason Tino slots in here after 2 laps of racing. Still got about 5 more miles until we see that. Oh, look at this. Another early departure from the race. Nick DeFeo, they've got the fuel tank off that machine, looking like they are going to do some work to try to get him back out on the track. Nick's taking the opportunity to take a little rest there. A strong performance at round 1. So both of our round 1 winners, Johnny Gerard and Nick DeFeo in XC1 and XC2, looks like Johnny may be out of the race altogether. Nick, they are trying to do some repairs.
Gonna jump in here real quick, guys. I got T-Rex, Nick DeFeo. What's going on? What happened out there?
No clue. Bike just started bogging. Bogged in the air, nose picked, flipped over the bars, and then just came back and it was running like, it was just running bad. Just really disappointed. I threw away another points lead again at this race. It's just, I don't know, it's just frustrating.
But hopefully team's going to get you back out there, maybe be able to salvage some points. Also, guys, got an update. Johnny Gerard dealing with some sickness left over from round 1. Unfortunately, going to be out of this one. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Zach. Well, bad news, but good news. Both of those riders, it sounds like okay. Johnny Gerard said he was under the weather coming into round 1, was able to get the win. But, man, it didn't take long for the brutal sands of Florida and these high temperatures to expose any illness he might have still been dealing with. Good to know, though, that it wasn't a crash. Doesn't sound like there's any injuries there. Hopefully he'll be able to get himself feeling a little better throughout the week, and hopefully we'll see him back on the line at Talladega. Looks like may have been a glitch. I don't know. I thought it was Grant Davis hitting the deck, but I think it might have just been a glitch in the camera there. So Grant Davis still leading the way, and it is Cody Barnes in that number 2 spot. The placard on the left side of the screen, or the running order there, has changed up quite a bit since these riders checked in, with Johnny Gerard obviously being taken out of the running order, but it is Cody Barnes now in the number 2 spot on that number 99 machine, with Mike Wachowski just behind him in that number 3 spot, and Stu Baylor sitting in the 4th place spot.
Hate to see that for T-Rex, but I appreciate the emotion that he showed and the truthfulness there of that interview, really getting to know exactly how it is.
Yeah, you know, and if he's a young rider, last year was his first year in that XC2 class, coming out winning round 1, you know it was disappointing for him to have a subpar performance here at round 2, and like he said, giving up that points lead, definitely disappointed, but it is a long season. He's still got a long way to go to potentially keep himself in the mix for this XC2 title here in 2026.
DJ Judd making his way through there on
that was
17.
DJ Judd. You got all excited. I didn't know it. I didn't realize that was DJ Judd. So did he do he drove the meet, did the DJ thing, and then put his gear on and went out and raced?
Yeah, well, he's not racing. Believe it or not, DJ Judd gets out there every Sunday and does sweep for us.
Very cool. So this is one track I would not want to sweep. I would say, no, I think I'm good. Yeah, I'll just walk around it.
Normally, DJ Judd, he's going out there, bald tires, bike not washed. He got it all fixed up. He's hoping Zach's going to race it Tuesday at Daytona.
Awesome.
Put a new tire on it, the whole 9 yards.
All right. Well, we'll stay tuned. That action will be coming to you live from the RCSX a little bit later this week, or this coming week. But now your leader on screen, Grant Davis, coming through 52.18. Well, we don't need to count for long, because look at this. Cody Barnes is closing up the gap and bringing Mike Wachowski with him. So Barnes and Wachowski, former teammates just a year ago on that Phoenix Racing Honda team. Wachowski's still there, and Cody Barnes having moved over to that factory Liquimala Beta team. And then it is your 2025 Series champion, Ben Kelly, in the number 4 spot, and it looks like Ben Kelly is starting to stir. This is a rider that has put in some phenomenal rides here in the sand of Florida over the years. Always strong, just a very, very technically sound rider, very efficient, and I expect to see him only get stronger as this race goes on.
No doubt about it, and the riders looking to come through still flying in formation, as they were absolutely flying by our camera shot. There goes the 7 of Strang, making his way by, as well as DeLong.
Yeah, you can see, I mean, it's still pretty tight at the front for as brutal as this racetrack is. Nobody wanting to let the lead group really get too far away. In case they're feeling themselves later in the race, they want to have an opportunity to get up in there, mix it up, if not for a win, at least for a podium position. It just makes the soreness of the week, all the torture that you put yourself through, a little bit more manageable when you say, yeah, but I got to pop some champagne on the GNCC podium.
No doubt about it. And Cody Barnes doing exactly what I'm sure himself, Beta, Josh Strang, the entire crew there was expecting and hoping for. And Cody Barnes, a rider that we saw a ton up on the overall podium. Look at this, Johnny. Tino and Reardon coming through nose to tail. So that is going to be a dogfight there in the XC2. But speaking of the XC2, as I was saying, Cody Barnes, we saw him up at the top of the charts in the XC2. We saw him on the overall podiums out of that XC2. However, we have not saw him on the XC1 podium yet. Only his second race in the XC1 class. And what a start to his XC1 career that would be.
Absolutely. And you have to look back to, let's go back to the Penton last year where Cody Barnes had himself in position on the last lap to win that overall. And then his training partner and his buddy, Caleb Russell, comes up and snatches it away from him at the last moment. You don't think that lives rent-free in his head. On a day like today, he's looking for payback. He wants to be the one standing in the center of the podium to give Beta, which I'm near certain would be their first ever GNCC overall. I don't have a spreadsheet in front of me telling me that, but to my knowledge, it would be. And look at this, it is even further tightening up now. The Mike Witkowski and Cody Barnes are pushing, and they have gotten now nearly to the rear wheel of Grant Davis. Then it's Ben Kelly right there as well. You can see those bottle handoffs just in case these guys want some hydration. Look at this, Davis just on the bottom of the screen. Cody Barnes now has him in his sights, and Mike Witkowski seeing an opportunity to just kind of be the trailer on that Cody Barnes Express, and they are riding right up to the rear wheel of Grant Davis.
Yeah, this is not something that we're unfamiliar with seeing. You take a look to the last couple of years to see Grant Davis and Cody Barnes charging their way to the front of the XC1 pack. We're used to seeing it from the second row. Now they're starting right there on row 1. And like I said, a good start. I really wanted to see what Cody was capable of on that Beta. You always hear everybody feels comfortable. They like the machine. But until you actually get to see them out in action, it's hard to judge. And, yeah, talking to Josh Strang and everybody other with the team, it sounds like it's been a really pleasant transition. And clearly Barnes feeling comfortable on a track that's pretty hard to look comfy on.
He sure is, having himself a great day, and like you said, one of the hardest tracks that we visit here on the GNCC circuit right here in Palatka, Florida. Following along with our leader, Grant Davis, as he has plenty of company now from Barnes as well as Witkowski. Witkowski in the fight, the rider we saw taking the win there at Ironman, the final race of the year last year in 2025, and starting it off on a high note, at least here at round number 2. We'll see if he's able to stay in the fight in this one.
Well, so there you go, on screen, Barnes with that Camelback on the back. You can see that riding style, big, tall, lanky rider. Grant Davis just ahead of him. And I think the biggest adjustment for Cody Barnes, having spent some time with him this winter, was realizing coming off that 250cc machine, now not only on a big bore, but a big bore 480 Beta. He said it's just recognizing that big girl has some power. He doesn't have to rev it as much. He can kind of ride it more smoothly, click it up a gear, let it do its thing. And that was the adjustment that once he made, you could just see it was like, okay, this is a whole new ball of wax here, and he has just been looking phenomenal on that machine ever since. And you know, if the Beta executives are here with us this weekend or sitting at home watching, they got to be pretty excited to see one of their machines up here battling in the sands of Florida. Josh Strang doing a great job on that same 480 machine last year as well, putting himself up front many times throughout the year. So a big resurgence for Beta here in the last 2 years at GNCC.
Yeah, 2 riders in the top 15 now, with one of them sitting in the top 3. I do want to mention Mike Witkowski, a 10th place there at round number 1. So this would get his 2026 season back on track, at least the way I'm sure he's expecting it to be. But look at this.
Ben Kelly has now joined the fight for the lead. He's got a couple bike lengths to make up, but he is absolutely flying. And the wild thing about Ben Kelly, never looks like he's charging. Just has that stand-up riding style. Then it looks like, I think that might have been Caleb Russell there, Jordan Ashburn. Looks like there is Liam Draper. Not sure if that was Stu Baylor in between them there, or he was a little bit further up the trail. We'll see when they check in here in just another few miles. Might get there we go. We got the drone shot. There is Barnes riding in the number 2 spot, but look at this. He is now right to the rear wheel. How many times did we see this last year? These two just absolutely glued to each other, battling. You throw Gus Reardon in here, and it would look just like 2025. They might be on different machines, being that Barnes and Reardon both having switched teams. Barnes going to that Beta team, and Reardon heading over to the Phoenix Honda team. But man, these two have spent a lot of time battling at the front. Well, now it's not only the front on corrected time, they are physically the first 2 riders on the track, leading the way in that XC1 and the overall.
And I feel like that has to give a rider like Barnes some comfort and some confidence, knowing that is a racer that he has raced with so much right there in front of it.
Cody's a rider that is very hard on himself, and after round 1, he was so hard on himself, just feeling like maybe he could have done something differently. That machine ingested water, ultimately shutting down, not able to finish the race. But it's today, I don't think we're going to see that kind of attrition. So I think that he sees this as his opportunity to really showcase the work that he's put in, how good he is feeling on this factory beta. And man, right now he is absolutely shredding. But again, Ben Kelly ever getting closer to the back wheel of Mike Witkowski. They're trying to get himself into a podium position, and he is looking strong.
Well, and just like you said, Johnny, we said it all through round one. Everybody's tied on points. Everybody feels like it's their championship to lose. Meanwhile, round two, all hope is not lost yet. There's still light at the end of the tunnel. There's still a chance that you can turn your season around. So just as much emphasis, maybe even more so, here at round two, if you didn't have the round one that you were hoping for, just like you said about Cody Barnes and Grant Davis both. So both of the riders running up front at the moment, maybe a little chip on the shoulder, wanting to say that they are a threat for the title up here in the XC1 class.
Be interesting to see if Cody Barnes is able to get actually to the rear wheel of Grant Davis. Grant looks like he's responded a little bit and picked up the pace, but if Barnes is able to get there, does he immediately go for the kill shot, go in, try to take the lead and ride away, or saying, hey, this guy's won a lot of overalls in the last 2 years, let's see what we can get figured out here and just kind of ride behind him? I'm curious to see, but I think that question is going to be answered much more quickly than we might think, because it is starting to come together. And still, Witkowski there in the number 3 spot, and Ben Kelly is now there. It's no longer a matter of coming, he is actually there.
He sure is, and I guess he's heard that his teammate's out, so he needs to get that KTM machine back up there. And look at this, around the outside. Is Ben Kelly going to be able to do it? Man, what a fight. And he does. Ben Kelly going to move up into that 3rd place position.
You know, very similar to the move we saw from John Glada yesterday. It just seemed like as soon as that window opened, all of a sudden Ben Kelly was fully committed, made it happen in just a few hundred feet right there. Witkowski tried to put up a fight, but it was almost like Kelly attacked so hard, so quick, it was too late before he even realized what was happening. So this is dangerous. Ben Kelly, the last person you want to be gaining momentum and gaining steam an hour into the race, as he's almost immediately right to the rear wheel of Cody Barnes as they head back into pit lane. Let's see, there goes the number 2 into the pits. And looks like Kelly going to follow in right behind. So everybody taking a moment, goggles, hydration, fuel, and we're off and rolling. Couldn't quite tell. All right, so it looks like it's going to funnel back in with Davis, Barnes, Kelly, and Witkowski.
That was a great shot right there. You know, you think they don't have these pit stops down and dialed. They literally came out in the exact same order, the exact same gaps, or no gaps. It's just, this is a finely oiled machine. All of these riders and their teams, they come in, they get their fuel, chance to maybe communicate a little bit. And I noticed this earlier, Ben Kelly running a lot of different lines. At this point, the whole track isn't super rough, but even there, he kind of apexed that corner early and cut across. He is riding almost a completely different track than the riders in front of him.
Yeah, using up all the track that he can out there right now, and that very well might could pay off for him in conditions like this.
Looking like now he's ready to go ahead and go after Cody Barnes on that beta machine, and Ben Kelly putting in a charge right up along that tree line. We see that in Supercross. They thread it right against the tough blocks. Here in GNCC, it's brush, it's logs, it's stumps, but they're still just trying to find even just a small amount of running room that isn't completely beat up.
Well, and it's so funny, it starts just dead center through the middle of the day, starts to move further and further to the outsides until sometimes it's far left and far right. As looks like Jason Tino now coming in for a pit stop. Already was missing the goggles. Not sure if he ditched them on the approach, but going to get some fresh vision. Grab some hydration. There it is. Fuel stop's done. Just looking down there, maybe grabbing the drink hose. Is going to try to take a second. And just like we talk about, GNCC, yes, it's individual riders out there on course, but nobody does this alone. Nobody succeeds and grabs a win here at the top level without a fantastic team around them. And we see the, NASCAR shows a lot of team prep as far as pit stops go. I'm sure your GNCC team's doing the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't just get this good like this without practicing. Looks like Jack Walker now in. Also, Cody Barnes' teammate from that XC2 class, and he was running in just outside of podium position, actually, once they corrected the scoring. Had him back in the 4th place spot behind Gavin Simon with your XC2 leaders. Out front, the 226 of Tino, and then Gus Reardon on that number 6. Phoenix Racing Honda running 1 and 2. So we'll see when they check in with 2 laps complete here in a matter of just about 2 more miles exactly how things are shaking out. Well, less than 2 more miles. Leaders are there, but those guys got about 2 miles. They're over on the other side of the property. They still have to go around the back side of all the auxiliary pits and all the amateur pits, but it is Grant Davis, Cody Barnes, Ben Kelly and Mike Wachowski flying in formation. Now with 2 laps complete, lap times 31:30, so quite a bit faster on lap number 2. Not surprising since they didn't have to run that extra section of racetrack. But that brings up an interesting point as we start doing some math here, looking like this will be on the bubble between a 5 and 6 lap race. And now we got some more riders checking in. Jordan Ashburn has checked in, and let's see who else we've got checked in. So Ben Kelly in the number 3 spot, Mike Wachowski in 4th, Stu Baylor in 5th, Caleb Russell in 6th, and those 2 have actually picked up the pace. Now Baylor only 8 seconds behind Wachowski, with Russell only 1 second behind Baylor. Liam Draper 8 seconds behind his teammate there, Caleb Russell. Then Jordan Ashburn checking in the number 8 spot, 2 seconds behind Liam Draper.
There went Ashburn on screen just now at the mile 1 marker. And going to jump back forward to our Yamaha Racing live drone to our leaders of Davis, Barnes, Kelly, and Wachowski. We talked about it a minute ago. I said that Kelly changing up those lines could help out, but as we talked about in the front of the show, you don't want to change them up too much, especially not in those mud holes. So we'll see if Kelly going to continue to try to find a alternative way through, as now we see Craig DeLong here at the mile 1 marker.
So interesting to note here, looking at the top 8 as they checked in, Grant Davis actually with the 31:30 was the slowest rider of the top 7 or 8. So that's why we're seeing that bunching up. And not that he was slow, it was still a good pace, but these guys behind him absolutely pushing the pace. Cody Barnes with the 31:10, Ben Kelly with the 31:03, fastest rider on track that lap. And man, it's really starting to bunch up. There is Reardon coming through, and he has now made the pass on the 226 of Tino, so new leader in that XC2 Pro Lights class.
Yeah, and best believe a lot of stuff up for grabs in XC2 as well. Your XC2 points leader having his problems here, so riders like Reardon and Tino, both who were on that podium at round 1, looking at a potential to snatch away that XC2 points lead.
Looks like we've had more of our top 10 in that XC1 class check in. Behind Ashburn, it is Josh Strang and Craig DeLong, now both checked in. 24 seconds behind Ashburn is Josh Strang on that number 7 beta out of Denver, North Carolina. Strang, a rider who has done very well in the sands of Florida here before. Expect to see him be strong throughout this one.
Watching Ben Kelly, you guys are talking about the different lines. What a powerful position to be in the sense of Ben is able to see what Barnes and Davis are doing in front of him, but he's experimenting and showing that he's got multiple different options. Quite honestly, looks like Wachowski was starting to follow maybe some of those lines of Kelly as well, saying whatever this guy's doing, it's taking him to the front. So we'll see the diesel, as we like to call him. He's getting warmed up. He's just about an hour in, which means it's almost time for Ben Kelly to start creeping forward. And I'm going to keep my eyes on the 557 of Caleb Russell as well. We talked about the mental demands of round number 2. This guy's about as mental as it gets when it comes to toughness. So here are your lap times from the last lap. Grant Davis, just like we said, a 31:30, a bit slower than the rest of the field. Take a look at that, 27 seconds slower than Ben Kelly in that 3rd place spot. Cody Barnes a 31:10, Wachowski a 31:11. Baylor, and then Russell a bit faster as well. We saw he was within about a second or so of Stu Baylor, so we'll see if the trends continue forward. Gus Reardon a 31:23 out of your XC2 class as well. So we get a great shot of the freight train here on the Yamaha Racing live drone making their way through.
Flashing ahead here to the 2-mile marker, we see some of our B-class riders coming through, and it is a completely different racetrack already. Leader on screen, Grant Davis out front. Cody Barnes still looking comfy in that number 2 spot. Pressure from Ben Kelly, Mike Wachowski, and now Stu Baylor has closed the gap. And that 557 you were just talking about there, he is now up to just behind the rear wheel there. And in the fight, looked like it might have been Draper there behind him as well. So Liam Draper latching on to his teammate Caleb Russell, and then it is Jordan Ashburn. So Draper made the pass on Ashburn somewhere and has gotten around.
So your top 7 out of the XC1 field pretty much in a freight train at the moment. And I don't know how much we're just pace playing at this point. It seems like they are pushing the limits. When they get a chance to pass, they make it happen, as now looks like Draper trying to latch onto the back of his teammate there in the number 7 spot.
Well, and it is a different ball game now for Grant Davis and Cody Barnes. Both, they're racing these guys, but they've been in the mix with these guys physically on the racetrack, knowing that they had roundabouts a minute advantage. Now, this is just wheel-to-wheel racing. Craig DeLong on screen inside the top 10 as well there in that XC1 Pro class. Looking back, we should see now our XC2 riders getting ready to come through here. Last we saw it was Gus Reardon, who had taken the lead away from our whole shot winner Jason Tino, but Tino was still lurking back there just behind Reardon, looking like he wanted to put up a fight, maybe get himself back in position to grab that lead back from him here on lap number 3.
Holding our shot here at the 2-mile mark. There is Gus Reardon on the Phoenix Racing Honda, making his way through, really seeming to be comfortable on that red machine, and Tino not letting him get out of sight.
Those two have pulled away a bit now. Looking back, it is Jack Walker who's made the pass on Gavin Simon, but he's 35 seconds behind Tino. Not a bridge too far to cross, but if he wants to get in the mix for the lead, he's going to have to really get on the gas here on this lap before you know that Gus Reardon is going to pick up the pace now that he's gotten out front and most likely try to break Jason Tino and see if he's able to get away. Davis on screen is your leader. Barnes there in the number 2 spot. Ben Kelly in 3rd. Mike Witkowski in 4th. Stu Baylor in 5th. Caleb Russell in 6th. And, oh, actually, that was Liam Draper in 6th, so he has now gotten around Caleb Russell.
Wow, what was a 3-rider battle turning into almost an entire XC1 battle, as now we see Ashburn making his way through.
Yeah, we had a bit of a yo-yo effect for the class. They were kind of spacing out, and now they've been brought back together. Just like we said, Davis, the tip of the spear, a little bit slower, 27 seconds slower than Ben Kelly on that last lap, so starting to see the bunching up of the pack. If you are Barnes, Kelly, Witkowski, Baylor, or even Draper now at this point, it's tough. You're playing offense and defense at the same time. You're looking for a pass. Sometimes you leave a door open, you don't realize, and a pass gets made on you. Curious what happened as we see Josh Strang making his way through with Caleb Russell as he was in front of Liam Draper. Looks like Draper was able to make a quick move.
Yeah, those lapped riders getting in the mix as well, and that can really make things interesting, especially a lot of times the lapped rider will pull over, see a leader coming, and think, okay, maybe there's 1 or 2 of them. But in this case, we've got 6, 7 riders running nose to tail. If that lapped rider pulls back in, it can really throw a monkey wrench in the plans of those riders behind the leader.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Going to need to find a section exactly like what we see here at the mile 3 where you can split right through. And I'm sure that's what some of these riders doing. Here we go, XC2 leader making his way through. Angus Reardon aboard that new Phoenix Racing Honda ride of his, and Jason Tino aboard his new ride, and he's down, hits the tree right there, gets a quick remount, trying to get up, looks to have a leg stuck under the bike. Gonna get some help there from one of the mud fleas, one of the sand fleas today.
That's actually Jason's dad.
Wow.
So what are the chances of that? You pick a spot to crash on right in front of Pops. Looked like Dad was giving him an earful, probably encouraging him, though. Got a replay of this. Jason Tino had actually closed the gap back up a little bit on Gus Reardon, and now coming through here, you see it looks like he just clips that tree with his handlebars, knocks himself off, and then he's caught under the machine, having to kind of drag his leg out from underneath it. That can be tough in the sand. It kind of pushes you down in there, and it's like if you've ever been buried in sand at the beach, imagine trying to get out of that with a 250-pound motorcycle sitting on top of you.
Well, and he was stuck on that big sand berm as well, so not only was he laying down, he was almost at an upside-down type angle where he's having to sit up against gravity, so definitely easier said than done as Tino popped back up as fast as he could. And yeah, I'm sure getting some words of affirmations there from Pops as we get word from race control. 5-lap race in store for our afternoon pros, as I think 5 laps is going to be just plenty. Absolutely brutal. As we flip back to that Yamaha Racing live drone, bit of a breakaway out front. Grant Davis trying to get some breathing room as now Ben Kelly.
Yeah.
Look at this, going after Cody Barnes. What a move up the inside, and now once again looks like it's a KTM 1-2.
Yeah, Witkowski sitting back there in the number 4 spot, and then Stu Baylor looking very racy in that 5th spot. Look at that, goes around Mike Witkowski. Baylor getting a little swippy swap there. Looks like he's trying to get a twofer and go after Cody Barnes as well to try to wrestle away that 3rd spot, all in one section of racetrack.
Well, Jackson, you've been talking about it. Stu Baylor been looking fit. We know he's been putting in the time, and this is a great opportunity to show it. Another rider we talk about when it comes to mental strength, willing to do whatever it takes to try to get the job done. He's got some momentum as he makes a pass on Witkowski.
Yeah, and I feel like we've talked about it for years now. Stu Baylor, one of the riders, kind of with his back up against the wall, starting to say that he's only going to focus on GNCC, wanting this GNCC championship, and like I said, kind of has his back up against the wall. He's going to have to start making some moves and get some solid finishes here to start out the season. That's been the tale of the tape with Stu Baylor. It's either a win or a big loss. So Stu Baylor needs to get some valuable points.
Guys, looking at the running order, we talked about Lane Whitmer, impressive on lap number 1, sitting in that 17th spot overall, now up to 15th spot, still leading the way in that 258 class with Colton Shields 1 minute and 31 seconds behind him, also inside the top 20 in 19th. And then it's Jiggs Festini and Braden Baisley, 4-stroke A lights, 1st and 2nd place, 21st and 22nd overall. So these A riders really on the gas here today.
So the amateurs doing all right at the moment. Going to be celebrating those top amateurs on the podium after this as well. As we continue to watch here at the 5-mile mark, we did catch a glimpse there of Gus Reardon at the 4. Meanwhile, here is Jordan Ashburn on that Phoenix Racing Honda machine. Looking mighty comfortable. Lost a couple of spots. He was moving forward. Now going to try to regroup here in this final hour and 45 minutes or so. Once again, 5-lap race in store here this afternoon as we watch and wait on our leaders. There is Josh Strang making his way through on that factory Liqui-Moly Beta. We welcome Jesse Ansley into the booth here at Racer TV. Jesse, you getting to do a little bit of racing in one of our E-classes earlier this afternoon. Man, tell us about how much fun and how smooth the track is out there.
Yeah, man, what's up, boys? It's cool to be here in the booth watching some Racer TV, and yeah, thanks for the mic check, Johnny. Yeah, no, I rode in the morning, kind of different program this year, not really racing the pro class, and yeah, it's been gnarly couple of years for me. A bunch of highs and lows, and just got the opportunity to kind of go have some fun and do some R&D for some guys, and yeah, it's cool.
Hey, that's what it's all about. We see Gus Reardon making his way through, your leader out of the XC2 class. Jesse, it's great to have you in the booth. We're going to have all kinds of questions for you about what it's like to suffer for 3 hours out here, because right now, not only are the conditions absolutely brutal, but so many close battles. As look at this, Tino trying to pick his way back from that mistake a bit earlier. Talk about just the mental side of this race, knowing how tough it's going to be coming into it. Sun's shining, it's pretty warm out here as well, and you're thinking, man, we still got 2 hours and 45 minutes to go.
Well, I'm probably not the best person to ask, just because when I come here, I have a big smile on my face. I probably, well, besides Caleb and the guys that are down, at Caleb's ranch here, I'm probably the most excited when it comes to Florida GNCC. But I can guarantee you, anyone watching at home, it is 10 times worse than it actually looks on TV. It is insanely gnarly. Even in the morning race, like, the bumps just get so massive, and luckily we got some rain Friday, and that helped the track a ton. Yep. When it gets super loose and dry, it's even harder to ride. So, no, it's crazy how physically demanding this is, and even mentally with these guys. The riders that you're seeing on the screen here, all these guys have the same mindset, and you're looking for that 1%. So it's tough because everyone, whether they like it or not, they come into this race and they're ready for the suffer. They're all down here pretty much all winter. I try to knock them down a little bit in confidence when they come to the local races, and I try to keep them honest. But now it's good to have these guys down all winter, and I'm very fortunate to live down here. It's tough to make it to all the GNCCs, but I was lucky. I had a really good run there, and I was able to do the series for a long time, and I think today was my 16th year straight doing the Florida GNCC, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, mentally it's crazy.
Well, and it's what sounds like it's one of those ones where attitude a big part of it as well. Just like we heard from Bryson Hill yesterday, it's going to be difficult. It's going to absolutely take everything that you got. There's no question about that. So at this point, you might as well kind of embrace it, embrace the suck, as they like to say, and accept what's coming. And it sounds like you're a rider that always knows, maybe a little more comfortable in the sand, being a bit of a local boy, and not only it's not going to be any easier on you, but this might be an opportunity for you to separate yourself from other riders.
Well, and it's mind games too. I mean, look at Grant today. He's not wearing any camelback at all. And just mentally, when you line up next to someone that doesn't even take a water pack, you're like, what is wrong with this dude? And so when you're battling him, they're on the screen right now. It looks like 1, 2, and Cody's in 3rd. Yeah. Wow, they're really close now.
Baylor 4th,
Draper
5th now. Witkowski 6th and Russell 7th. I mean, that's the 7th top 7 all in one camera shot there. Any one of those guys at any moment, we could have a camera shot where they're in the lead. That's how close together they are. Jesse, if we could, you obviously raced this hog boiler facility, not only for the GNCC Wild Boar, but you guys have an FTR race here as well. You have a lot of experience with this. Talk a little bit about how the track's shaping up differently this weekend, just because of that rain we had on Friday. Yesterday, that was an interesting racetrack. Things drying out a little bit today, but what are your thoughts being out there and racing this morning? Was it kind of what you expected, or did it seem like it had shaped up differently?
Well, definitely the moisture plays a huge part of changing the track. You get the rollers that get hard, as weird as it is, it's almost like really good dirt. And so depends on who you talk to, and if you know how to ride it or not. It actually could work out to your advantage because you can jump the sand rollers more than you have to hammer through them like the soft sand. So it really just depends. I mean, and it's also really slow too. So you can take your brakes a little bit more than if it was super dry, but it's going to be slower. So as you can see, when these guys came through, they were just hammering. They don't care. They don't care about brakes. They don't care about nothing.
Yep.
But we've had crazy mud races here where the sand's perfect and then the pines and the water holes are super gnarly, and we've also had crazy races where it's super dry here. So
and when you speak about that, as we see our XC2 leader Gus Reardon coming through there, when you're saying kind of pounding through the whoops, that's almost like a supercross whoop skimming, like trying to stay on top, not drop down into the valleys. You carry so much speed, you just bounce from one to the next. Where we see a lot of this today, it looks like they're almost trying to find a rhythm and jump through. Another thing that was kind of pointed out to me, I didn't go out and check out the track. I'm retired, don't need to. But after pedaling, a lot of the ATV guys and a lot of the motorcycle guys, Jason Tino there is second from that XC2 Pro Lights class on screen, were saying they felt the track had more flow than normal. Normally this one that's kind of a lot of very turny, a lot of tighter sections. When I say tight, doesn't mean the track's narrow, but it just, you kind of go to a point, turn, head the other direction. Seemed like this year, the way the track was laid out, at least from what I was getting secondhand, a little more flow. Was that your experience as well?
Yeah, I think the track crew did a great job with the layout and just kind of keeping, like you said, when it gets so tight, it gets super gnarly because you can't get out of it.
Yep.
So when it's a little faster pace, you can kind of pick your part the track better.
Trying to see if this is, it looks like it is our leaders on screen. Looks like it is still Grant Davis out front. Still Kelly there in the number 2 spot. Looks like Barnes in 3rd. Still Baylor there in 4th. And Draper looking like he has now pushed Witkowski back a little bit out of the fight there. So there it is, Davis, Kelly, Barnes, Draper. Oh, we lost Stu Baylor.
So Draper making some moves.
And it looks like Caleb fell back a little bit too there.
Yep, so there is Russell. So it's Stu Baylor that's missing from this fight in the front. Russell up to 6th, and is that Baylor? It is. Baylor there in the number 7 spot, so possibly a poor line choice or a crash there. Looking like he's dropping that left elbow.
So through the water they go, do a little mud bogging themselves.
Wow, Cody Barnes carried a lot of speed through there, so much so that he almost blew the next corner, put himself in the kind of sights of Liam Draper. And Draper, whoa, look at this different line from Draper. Oh!
Buries the machine.
What was that?
He was trying to look like go around the outside of Cody Barnes. Barnes kind of pushed him wide, and at that point, I don't think he could check up. He tried to cut back across, but just like we said, you can't tell how deep these holes are until you go through them, and that is devastating for
he has
Liam
watered
Draper.
That machine out.
And look, he's taking the air filter off. For those unfamiliar, the Yamahas have a front intake, so I mean, it literally just drowned his bike. Wow, he's
dumping water out.
That is amazing that he in this moment he can actually think quick like this, and maybe he might be able to get the bike running again. But
so likely what happens is what we call a hydro lock. It sucks so much water in through the intake that it actually locks the motor solid, and you're not even able to turn it over. The only thing you can do, likely what he's going to try to do, is if he's able to spin the motor and push water out the exhaust, that is going to be the only way to get that machine going. But he is in a world of trouble right now, as we see. Looks like Josh Strang coming by there. Draper,
he's giving everyone, wow, that's crazy.
Looks like he's cheering on.
Hate to say it, but this may be the end of the day for the 198 machine unless he's able. We do have a rule in GNCC. If he has to get towed back, the good news is he's up front at the part of the property where he might be able to push that pit bike back to the Ampro pits. But that was wild. I wondered if he had a line picked out there.
I think he just made a last second. Obviously, he was trying to get around Mike Witkowski, it looked like, or maybe Cody Barnes.
I think it was Barnes, and he was pushing that outside, and then Barnes just faded out just a little bit, and he could have committed to going straight. It would have cost him a bit of time going all the way around, but clearly would have been a bit more beneficial than the line chosen. And it just goes straight. I can't believe he didn't go completely flying over the bars as deep as that was. We're going to see if we can get a replay of it here. Watch center of your screen. Makes the move, and then maybe a little contact. Maybe the bars got locked together between himself and Barnes, because he kind of just shot off into pretty much dead center of that massive water hole. And
unfortunately.
But that shows you, looking from the drone, keep in mind this is kind of what the riders are seeing. You can't see the bottom.
Yep.
You know, so he may have thought, oh, I'll just go this way. But, man, he's been here enough times to know they call it hog waller for a reason. They dig this thing out with mud trucks and ATVs and side-by-sides. Again, just a momentary lapse in judgment, thinking he could just wheelie across the center there. Absolutely just drowning out that Ampro Yamaha. Unfortunately, you can see the water just dumping out there. These things do not like to run when they're full of water.
Yeah, that's tough to see. And you know, from a viewer's perspective, it's like, you know, why the heck did he go in the middle? But in that instance, it's such a last second, you know, clearly he didn't want to take that line. But, you know, when you're in heat of the moment, the battle, I mean, he just got pushed, and it's kind of like, you know, what if? Yep. You know, you just go for it. You know, you in this class anymore, you can't give up a couple seconds going around. You just, you know, you take those chances, and unfortunately, that chance didn't work out.
Is that a new leader on screen? Ben Kelly has made the pass on Grant Davis, and then Cody Barnes sitting in the number 3 spot, and Mike Witkowski in 4th. Here comes the 5:57 of Caleb Russell in 5th, trying to work his way back up. He's with the lead group. Looks like he had a little misstep, got a few seconds back, now closing that gap back up. So we've got 5 riders. Do not see Stu Baylor this time. He was on Russell's rear wheel. Is this Baylor coming now? It is. That is, I think.
No,
maybe
I
not.
don't believe so. Yep.
That might be DJ Judd. I'm not sure what his number was, but we got to see him a little bit earlier. So it looks like we have now lost Liam Draper, obviously, from this fight. We know what happened there, and it appears now that we have also lost Stu Baylor, the 514 machine, not coming through here at the 9-mile marker. The next rider we see may be Josh Strang.
Jordan Ashburn.
Oh, Ashburn.
Yep. Making his way through. So, yeah, definitely a bit off the pace for Stu Baylor now, as he is way further back than last we saw. See whether or not we can get word on what's going on there. Patience sounds like a big thing in this as well. It seemed like Liam Draper was feeling that push forward, as there comes Josh Strang on the Beta as well. And he saw an opportunity and just wanted it right then and right there. Looked like he had more speed than Barnes. Potentially could have waited a bit, but certainly a costly mistake there for Liam Draper. As we flip back to the Yamaha Racing live drone, try to check back in with the front of the field. Racing their way through. Ben Kelly, like we said, the last person you want to see getting fired up and getting moving forward, about that 45 to 50 minute mark. He spent the last half hour checking people off the list until he's got nobody left. Let's see what he's able to do here with some clean air.
Well, Zach, he obviously didn't have a great start, and he was kind of stuck in that freight train the first, lap and a half, and he started picking guys apart. And
is that?
That looks like a lapper. It seems like. Oh, little stumble there.
Yep, so Ben Kelly had a little miscue on the inside there, but still maintaining his lead. But Grant Davis is right there looking like he's ready to bring the fight back to Ben Kelly. Ben Kelly, a slow start to this one, but like we pointed out, was just on a charge through the first couple laps, working his way up to now leading this one. Grant Davis in the number 2 spot. Now it looks like they may have opened things up just a little bit over the 99 of Cody Barnes. Then it's the 8 of Witkowski in 4th.
And you saw Barnes swapping back and forth, trying to figure out which way to get around that lapper. Here comes Caleb Russell. Beautiful snatch of the water bottle right there.
I know JoJo was stressing about that area.
Shout out to JoJo Boughton, good friend of Caleb Russell, former top amateur racer a few years ago. Came down here just to watch this race, and Caleb Russell said, well, if you're here, we're going to put you to work. You're going to do some bottle handoffs.
That's how it always works. Anytime anyone knows what they're doing somewhat, you're like, hey, you're not doing anything? All right, I need your help.
I need your help, absolutely. Got to wonder, maybe a bit of a strategy for Grant Davis as well. We didn't see the pass happen, but we often hear that it's harder to lead versus following. Grant Davis, we know his interest is to go the distance. He talks about being physically fit, feeling he's got the speed. Maybe thinking, if I let Kelly stay right in front of me, if I'm going to be able to lock on to the rear wheel, potentially have a chance at this fight late into the race, or do you think the plan was to try to get away early?
Well, I think anytime you can sprint and get a gap, I mean, Caleb was notorious for that for several years. He would just, get a gap, sprint, and no one could ever catch him. No one could ever see him. And Grant had a great chance to do that today. But, the class is just stacked. And BK, I mean, he's pretty much a veteran in a way. He's won this race a few times. And
a 2-time series champion.
So exactly.
He definitely has the knowledge for sure.
BK's going to do all he can do to dog Grant and, kind of hopefully he doesn't show the new pup new tricks, you know.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, Johnny, do you think there could be an advantage for Grant Davis? Maybe wanted to be out front, but at the moment, could he essentially pace off of the leader? He only has to push as hard as it takes to stay with Ben.
Well, absolutely, and I think these guys all know coming in, like, obviously, you can never count anyone out. These guys are all very accomplished, very fast dirt bike riders, but the reality of it is, I think a guy like Grant Davis, Ben Kelly, Stu Baylor, Caleb Russell, Johnny Girard, they kind of know the guys that, okay, this guy's going to be really good at this track, or this guy's going to be really good everywhere. And those are the guys they're kind of focused on. They like to mark them, find out where they're at, don't want to let them get away. Grant Davis has never won an overall here in the sands of Florida. Ben Kelly has several. So why not let a guy like Ben Kelly, who obviously knows the pace, it just has a ton of racecraft. Not that Grant Davis doesn't. These two battled for the championship last year. But I think it's a very smart move, if that's what's happening, for Grant Davis just to allow Ben Kelly to kind of be the locomotive here. Yep. And he's just the caboose following him around. And if he feels he has more pace late in the race, it's a lot easier to sprint this track for one lap to try to outrace someone than it is to try to do it for 3 hours and set the pace. It's so easy to go too deep, too early, wear yourself out, or pick a bad line, get yourself in a bad situation. So why not let a guy like Ben Kelly, who's really been dominant in the sands of Florida here for many years, lead the way? If you're Grant Davis and you're comfortable following him, Jess, you can speak to this too. It's no secret that when you're following, you use a lot less energy, maybe not physically, but mentally. You're not thinking about the pace. You're not thinking about the sections coming up. A lot of times you can kind of almost just go into this non-thinking Zen state of just following the machine in front of you. And the only downside of it is you kind of can get yourself into a pace that sometimes it's hard to ride out of later.
Yeah, absolutely. Following, it depends on who you're following. If you're following someone, you know, not similar in riding style, you know, someone super sporadic or someone out of control, it's really hard to follow them. But when you have someone like BK and, you know, a couple of these veteran guys, you can kind of pick up on their lines, how they're entering corners. And like you said, you can kind of almost take a break. Now, I will touch on, you know, we're looking at about halfway through this race, and the lappers out here are not like these top guys. They are all over the trail. And so that's going to be you know, another obstacle in the course with, you know, lappers going left and right through the sand whoops. You know, as the race goes on, they get more tired. You know, it could play into the, you know, if they can be 1-2 like this, you know, for a couple more laps, you could see a shakeup just because of the lappers.
Sure, and as the race goes on, you kind of hit a point midway through the race, about where we are now, where the lappers tend to get thicker. In the beginning, you're kind of hitting the stragglers at the back part of the pack, and they know you're coming, they get out of the way. As the race continues on, there becomes this point, especially in Florida, where those guys are still really racing hard. They hear a bike revving, they just assume it's somebody in their class, and they can really, without intending to, kind of jam up the leaders. As you get late in a race like Florida, the last lap generally not a big issue with lappers because everybody is just so ready for the race to be over, especially the guys that are getting lapped. They're kind of looking behind them, hoping to get lapped and getting out of the way very quickly. So in my opinion, in a race like Florida, the most dangerous part of the race, if you're a leader coming up on lapped riders, is kind of the section we're getting into of this race right now, right in the middle.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's Florida's so unique, and you know, we only really have another sand race coming up here at Camp Coker, and you know, obviously naturally it's where my most two favorite races. But yeah, as you guys can see, this section's always pretty gnarly, and you know, just like we saw Liam earlier, whether you're an inch or two is determining on, you know, if it's an inch deep or maybe 2 foot deep. Yep. So we've seen countless riders,
or 3 or 4 foot, like we saw with Liam Draper there.
You know, you just swamp your bike and your day's over. So obviously you got your team guys and they're, you know, pointing the good lines, and we all walk it anyways, and we know exactly, you know, we're out there in our swim trunks, you know, looking for stumps and looking for good lines.
Leaders on screen there, and is that still Barnes back there in the number 3 spot? We see Stu Baylor in. Looks like they're putting some fuel in the machine, so something has gone awry there for Stu Baylor. Interestingly enough, we saw Nick DeFeo also with the tank off of that Kawasaki 250 earlier, so Baylor is back in the pits. He's been able to get that machine back, but he is definitely out of the running here in the top 5. We'll see where he slates back in once he is able to get back out on the track, if he's able to try and go into point salvage mode for the day. But the leaders on screen, Ben Kelly out front, Grant Davis in the number 2 spot, lurking back there, the 99 of Cody Barnes in the number 3 spot. Mike Witkowski on that Phoenix Racing Honda in 4th, and Caleb Russell rounding out the top 5. We saw these guys all in the same camera shot not long ago, but Ben Kelly and Grant Davis seem to have picked up the pace just enough that we are no longer seeing those other riders. Don't know if they're 2 seconds back or 20 seconds back, but the lead duo out front setting a pace right now that is pulling them away from the riders behind.
So 1 and 2 running 1 and 2 right now.
That's a cool shot, man.
Yeah, that's always so. And it just goes to show the pro line versus some of the lines those other riders are taking. We see Grant getting hung up just a little bit behind a lap rider. Rider does a good job of checking up out of the way, but really just trying to put these pieces together, find a way to straighten these corners out as much as possible. And the lap traffic, I think, only going to get thicker from here. Is that kind of like a moment in the race for you, Jesse, as you start to make your way back? I mean, you guys catch lappers pretty quick, but is there a certain spot where you're like, all right, here we go, they're starting to get thick here?
Yeah, like lap 2 and 3, like Johnny touched on earlier, it's or not really 2 and 3, I guess 3 and 4, but lap 2, I mean, you're just catching the guys that are barely surviving out there. I mean, really, not to be like disrespectful, they probably shouldn't even be in the race. You have guys that, it's cool to race. And that's what's really cool about GNCC is you get to line up, essentially, and race, these top 20 pro guys. And, there's some guys, especially locally here, I know, a few of them that they just line up just to be out there on the same track as us. And that's, just like another obstacle is these guys, and the speed difference is so massive that, they're kind of unpredictable. But, lap 3 and 4, you kind of get in those faster-ish riders where they kind of want to race you if they're not fully understanding what's happening. And just kind of like you can see here, I mean, Ben, passes these lappers, and then Grant kind of gets hung up for a quick second and then passes them. So, man, it's a crazy cat and mouse game. As you can see, they're, basically side by side right here in this shot.
Well, the cat in this situation is Grant Davis. He has now gotten back to the rear wheel of Ben Kelly. Those two check in now with 3 laps complete, a 31:27 and a 31:31 lap times. We know that there will be 2 more laps around this very, very rough Wild Boar GNCC track. Ben Kelly continuing to lead the way. Now we have Cody Barnes checked in, 3.6 seconds behind, so he is right there. We're not catching him in some of these camera shots, but he is right there. And also Mike Witkowski has come with him in that number 4 spot. Looking back, it is just those 4 checked in, so Caleb Russell has given up some time there in that number 5 spot. Russell has now checked in 30 seconds behind Witkowski, so a big time loss in those couple miles there for Caleb Russell, and those are the only 5 riders checked in.
Sounds like we have Jackson Burrell down in the pit standing by with Stu Baylor.
Yeah, guys, I'm down here with Stu right now. Stu, it looks like they're working on that bike intensely, man. Take us through it.
Yeah, man, I caught something, and I saw that it looked like it tore the radiator line, and it was back in the bike only. I was like, man, I just got to make it out of here. I'll hop on this road and get back. And yeah, these bikes still have pretty much everything stock on them, so it tells itself to shut off whenever it gets hot. And those things are just mistakes that we can't make at this factory level. We should have deletes for the heat temp sensor so that we can do our jobs. And yeah, it makes it tough. I stopped, I diagnosed, I knew exactly what was going on. I just called BK, and I saw it looked like him and Grant were right there side by side. And yeah, I was putting myself in a good position there on the track, and man, I felt really good. Just a bummer, man. We had to stop and straighten up my shifter already once today, and fell back to the back. Was able to chisel through my way back through all the guys and get back up there. And yeah, it's another woulda, coulda, shoulda. But yeah, I mean, all in all, factory teams can't make mistakes like this, and I'm pretty bummed. So yeah, very bummed.
No doubt, Stu, no doubt. Hope to see you back out there in a minute, guys. There it is from Stu Baylor.
Well, there you see, it looked like they were potentially handing him the head strap put back on. He wears underneath his helmet, so potentially getting Stu back out on course. Hopefully going to be able to save some points here today. But yeah, always frustrating when you sit there and ask what could have been. I'm sure you guys have a lot of races like that. Sometimes it's crashes, mechanicals. But right now, Ben Kelly and Grant Davis breaking away just a little bit. Barnes and Witkowski still wheel to wheel, not too far behind. And then Russell trying to reel back in that freight train up at the front.
Jordan Ashburn also now checked in the number 6 spot. Josh Strang 7th and Craig DeLong 8th. Those are the only riders checked in. Now we see our XC2 riders starting to check in, with Gus Reardon displacing Craig DeLong, the leader of that XC2 class. So we have 9 riders checked in here now with 3 laps complete and the 2-lap card in hand. Just like that, there is your XC2 leader on screen, Gus Reardon. He is making this one look easy. We'll see what the gap is. We saw him battling with Jason Tino just a lap ago, wrestling the lead away. Tino answering back, getting back to the rear wheel of Reardon, and then ultimately making contact with that tree. Looks like that may be Tino right there. So you can see the damage to the machine, but he is still there lurking. Not too far behind Tino, not too far behind Reardon, 21 seconds. So given that crash, given everything else that he's got going on there, he is still very close.
Yeah, he's definitely giving himself a shot, you know, not really letting Gus too far away. As you can see the leaders here, man, they're still 1 and 2. That is incredible racing. And Cody, you know, we got to point out that 2 out of the top 3 guys are rookies.
Yep.
You know, and obviously Grant was really familiar up front last year, but it's still, he's, you know, rookie season XC1. So, you know, and it's cool to see, you know, the vet, you know, BK out there holding it down, and then, you know, the 2 rookies, you know, right there on his heels. So maybe they're going to pull out some youth. Maybe the vet's going to show him what's up. But
and it's definitely still too early to count out Mike Wachowski sitting back there in that number 4 spot. He is very much in touch with that lead group. And then here comes the 557 of Caleb Russell there in the number 5 spot.
And you could never count out Caleb. I mean, we've seen some incredible things from that guy, you know, in the last decade, really. And even though he's 30 seconds down right now, you know, this track, there's still so much time, like you said. And he has a place just a couple miles down the road. He's really, really familiar with this terrain. And, you know, he's been grinding this winter. And, you know, he doesn't do good with defeat like he took at round 1. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him, you know, shift up a gear and try to hunt down this podium and try to have it in his sights on that last lap.
Well, there before too long, Ben Kelly was kind of not showing anything a whole lot early on, and then sure enough starts clicking forward. So maybe Caleb taking just a moment to kind of gather himself back up and try to reel this group back in. And then just like you said, we know what Caleb's willing to do, especially if he's got that kind of piece of meat dangling right in front of him. He's willing to go arguably into darker spots in his mind than anybody else.
Jordan Ashburn there coming through in the number 6 spot. Looks like Josh Strang and Craig DeLong also coming through there in 7th and 8th on track. 8th overall is Gus Reardon. Now back to the leaders on screen here at the 3-mile marker. There is Barnes in the number 3 spot. Just ahead of him, Grant Davis and Ben Kelly running 1 and 2. Didn't see Wachowski there, but the camera was glitching, so he probably did come through that camera shot there in that number 4 spot here at the 3-mile marker.
Gonna watch and wait, see what that gap is looking like.
Looks like Liam Draper was able to get that machinery fired, coming through in the number 18 spot overall, only 9 seconds behind Ryder Lafferty, and we do still have some A riders waiting to check in that may displace him, but as of right now, he is still in a position to score points.
That's the name of the game. You know, points are massive when it comes to a championship. You know, the last couple of years, it's come down to the wire, just like we saw last year at Ironman when it came down to Ben and Grant. But that's pretty much on all these guys' minds, you know, like our XC2 points leader right now, Nick DeFeo. I was just at the Cowie rig, and they were having some issues with his bike, and you know, he was still gung-ho to go out there just to get some type of points, and that's kind of the mindset that you have to be in. You can't take defeat until the checker flag's out, and you know, it's cool to see Liam, you know, the unfortunate situation of you know, drowning out his bike, but it's still like he has that mindset of I need to keep going. So, and even these guys are doing that when they're injured. You know, they crash and they get hurt. They're back on the bike. They're going that full 3 hours.
There is Ashburn coming through, and look at that. Lane Whitmer has checked in now, 13th overall. Lane Whitmer putting an incredible ride out of that 250A class, up nearing now the top 10. He is back up right behind the leaders in that XC2 class, absolutely flying around this Wild Boar GNCC racetrack. The only overall amateur checked in so far Colton Shields in second place in that 250A class was 1 minute and 31 seconds behind last lap, and Lane Whitmer has been in for quite a while and still no second place rider. So big shout out to Lane Whitmer. He is absolutely ripping out there.
Hanging here at the 3-mile mark. Now going to jump back to that Yamaha Racing live drone. The KTM boys, another Sunday at the track, battling it out. Ben Kelly leads the way, your defending champ, with the new kid, Grant Davis, hot on his heels and bringing another.
With Cody Barnes right now.
I'm telling you what, I mean, he's got the big girl just sand surfing out here.
Let's see if we can get a view on Mike Witkowski here, because I did not see him in the last camera shot. So has he just lost a little ground? There he is. So he has definitely lost some serious ground, and looking like he was maybe not quite the sense of urgency there. Potentially a crash, or maybe really starting to feel the effects of this one and starting to regather himself and regroup to try to go after. But right now the podium starting to ride away from him. Ben Kelly leading the way, Grant Davis second, Cody Barnes third. For those watching at home, got some texts asking about some of the riders missing from the race. We'll do a rundown kind of the attrition so far. Johnny Gerard going out of this one early with they are saying the effects of some illness that he was also feeling at round number 1. Electing to pull off while leading the race and battling with Grant Davis for that lead. And yeah, he's hoping to see him back here in 2 weeks' time.
So taking a look at the lap times from our last lap, it was a 31:27 for Ben Kelly, about 4 seconds or so faster than Grant Davis. 31:34 for Barnes. Witkowski actually just a tick faster than Barnes on that last lap. Russell, Ashburn, and Strang in those late 31s, early 32-minute lap times. So Kelly maintaining a strong pace. The diesel, we talk about it, once he gets going, it's hard to shut him down. He's got clean air out front, and we know how solid he is in these positions. Doesn't make a lot of big mistakes. He's been trying some different lines out in the early part of the race. Now that's probably going to pay off as he knows he's got some options. Seems like he's slicing through lap traffic pretty well right now as well.
Yeah, I mean, naturally these guys are going to, wick it up, the top 3, just because, they're not going to want to take those small breaks like we saw, Witkowski kind of taking that breather. And there's some spots in this track where you have to, naturally. And these top 3 guys, I mean, they're not going to want to let up. So you will probably see them kind of inch away a little bit, from Mike and maybe even Caleb back there as we see him coming through the screen here. And but yeah, I mean, those top 3 guys, I mean, they're going to go blackout mode. They're going to go as hard as they can. Obviously, Cody, Cody wants that win. Grant wants that win. BK wants that win. They all want the win. So they're going to go deep. And this place is a true testament of how deep you really want to go. I mean, when we were down at River Ranch, we saw that infamous Paul Whibley and Charlie Mullins battle where they literally passed out the finish. So these guys know how to go deep.
Yeah, and they're doing it right now. We're getting deep into this one. 1 hour and 46 minutes in. They are approaching what will be a white flag waving. Some long laps here today. 32-minute lap times as we get deeper into this one. 32-minute lap times. And this one's really coming down to the wire, Zach.
And it is certainly going to be fun to watch as we are past the halfway point. There we see Jordan Ashburn making his way through. Well, Jesse, we appreciate you joining us here on Razor TV. Thanks for jumping up in the booth and giving us your insight. Unfortunate news for the number 80 of Johnny Gerard, feeling the effects of that sickness. And when I talked to the team, they said, yeah, it's the best choice, best decision. So hopefully Johnny going to be okay. Meanwhile, Grant Davis been looking solid since the start. Ben Kelly, maybe not quite the start he was hoping for, but he's a whole lot more focused on the finish as he has now taken over the number 1 spot. Another rookie, Cody Barnes, looking solid as well. Not to mention, you can't count out Mike Witkowski on that Phoenix Racing Honda. The XC1 field, still a freight train up front. Couple of riders dropping off at their stop, but the rest going to come down to the wire, going to leave it all out on the course here from the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. Not to mention, can't forget the battle between Gus Reardon and Jason Tino for that XC2 win. How's it all going to shape out? We'll find out when we're back here live on Racer TV right after this.
everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? Don't do that. This reminds me of my bike. The wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way? Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank.
Hey!
Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a man. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to round 2 of the 2026 GNCC racing season, the Moose Racing Wild Boar. And we're having some wild times out and about in the pits as well. We're building sand castles. We're playing around, having a good time. We drove past this area probably 12, 15 times yesterday. Every time there was a new sandcastle, a new replica track being built, Jackson, and eventually there was a parental figure put out there as well. So something got a little bit out of control, but nonetheless, good times were had, and maybe sometimes a bit of a parental figure of us for us if we need it. We're bringing in Logan Dinsmore from the AMA. Logan, we've got a big week of racing. Already had ATV Day, Supercross. Now we're doing some more GNCC racing. We've got RCSX coming up tomorrow. Big weekend for the AMA and for motorcycle racing in general down here in Daytona.
Yeah, absolutely. There's just about anything you want to do on a motorcycle or ATV in the Daytona area this week, so that's really cool. It's a big week for us at the AMA for sure. You know, we've got the GNCC, kind of one of the pinnacles of the off-road racing. Supercross obviously is a big deal. And then also in the street bike side, flat track, all the big names are here. So it's definitely a big week in Daytona.
Without a doubt, it is the spot to be. And the man in the spot to be right now is Ben Kelly. We saw Grant Davis right behind him. And then Cody Barnes now in that number 3 ride, looking a little bit more lonesome as he's just lost touch with that top 2 and pulled away from the riders behind him. We talk about how dangerous that no man's land can be, Jackson. It's so hard to push the pace when you don't have anybody to feed off of and don't have anybody putting that pressure right behind you here in almost a full minute from Cody Barnes back to Mike Wachowski.
Yeah, Mike Wachowski dealing with that big time right now out on the course.
So watching these guys, no lonesome here between Ben Kelly and Grant Davis, just a couple of teammates on a Sunday cruise. And, man, it is a rough-looking cruise, I'll put it like that. They are getting tossed all around this track, continuing to get chewed up. And Logan, this is what we've seen all day. Every lap looks completely different. Hundreds of lines going every which way. But this is what makes the Wild Boar GNCC such a attractive event for people. We talk about the difficulty. We talk about the struggles. And there's some people, we call them a little crazy out there, but they say, you know what, that's the one I want to do.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a different event compared to the rest of the season. But that's kind of the cool thing with off-road racing is you're not in the same kind of atmosphere every single race. You know, motocross, supercross, you kind of know what you're going to get dirt-wise. They might have a sand section here or there, but this entire track's a sand section. And, you know, and it's completely different than what Big Buck was. It's completely different than what Talladega is and Snowshoe and all the other rounds. It's that's the cool thing about off-road is you got to be a complete, well-rounded rider for sure.
Yeah, you never what you got to be strong in the rocks, the roots, the sand. And Jackson, even like you talked about, the term sand, a lot more broad than we realize. Lots of different kinds of sand. You got to go out there on Friday some, and even now with the moisture coming in, we've got that much more variables as far as the type of sand that these riders are facing.
No doubt. And one thing that we haven't talked a lot about is they did, I mentioned that they did take the little dozers through there. That throws a whole nother wrench in it too, Zach. They're pushing berms up on the side, so not only are they having to deal with different types of sand, from that black sand back over to the white beach sand, they're also having to deal with some of those berms and which sections have been moved and are soft, which sections are packed down. It's hard to tell for these riders.
Take a look at this. Some of the vets of the series going at it. Jordan Ashburn chasing after Josh Strang, the Phoenix Racing Honda rider, chasing down the Liqui Moly Beta representative. It looks like another two-rider tango here. No, that's a lap rider moving out of the way for Craig DeLong, having a quietly solid run as well on that Rockstar Husqvarna. And, oh, man, that rider actually went down as he was getting passed by Craig DeLong. He was starstruck.
Just adds another obstacle out there.
Absolutely.
Got to dodge the trees and the other bikes.
Yeah, you never know, and especially as this race goes on, it seems like there's just as many bikes as there are trees out there.
For sure.
So, hanging out here at the FMF Power Point. Looks like that's the 707 of Lipscomb making his way through. And more riders having trouble. And we talk about late in the race, especially for some of our further back rows, this is where we're really going to start to see fatigue set in. It's mental fatigue, it's physical fatigue, and sometimes that makes it even that much harder to predict what the lap riders are going to do. Sometimes they want to get out of the way. They're just barely hanging on, and it takes them a second to figure out a spot to do it. So that much more separation between the top level elite riders of the field versus kind of the rest of the pack.
And you got to think, Zach, I mean, anybody, even some of the pros, in sand like this, it will pull you where it wants to go. Sometimes you don't necessarily get to pick where you're going, as we see our leader, Ben Kelly, making his way through, followed by Grant Davis still. Those two just, Grant Davis has a tow rope out right now on Ben Kelly. Would like to give a shout out to Liam Draper. It looks like he is still managing back in that 18th place spot aboard that Yamaha. Of course, like we said, have one of the KTM boys out there with Johnny Gerard, and then I was trying to get an update on Stu Baylor just a minute ago. When I went and looked, Baylor's still in the tent, didn't see Stu around. So, man, tough break for him. This is exactly what I was talking about earlier, Zach. It's either big wins or big losses for Stu, and so much of it is out of his control, but we know he is after that championship, and I hate to see that for him here today.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough spot, as we see. Look like that was Cody Barnes that made his way through, and an unfortunate kind of results or day so far for that Rocky Mountain Kawasaki team. We saw T-Rex having some issues. I believe he's gotten back out on course. Hopefully, Stu may be going to be able to do it. Shout out not only to Liam Draper, but that entire Ampro Yamaha crew. We saw exactly what happened with the 198. They were able to get things repaired, get him fired back up. He's off and rolling, and we still have some time, over an hour of racing just about, before we see a checkered flag. So who knows what Draper's capable of doing. Ryder Lafferty, the next rider up in front of him on overall timing. As is this our leaders? If so, that's some distance being put between Kelly and Davis. You talked about that tow rope. We're going to find out just how long the rope is.
Yeah, and I have to wonder, that we hear him talking about it in other forms of racing so much, how it's starting to change and not wanting such a huge lead. And Ben Kelly charging up to the front of this one so fast, and I have to think in conditions like this, as hot as the weather is, man, it has warmed up big time. I was almost cold last night. It is not the case out there. This is sunny Florida. I feel like we're at the beach right now, and so that could be what Ben Kelly is doing in this situation, is kind of trying to just pace himself there with Grant Davis, not let him get too close, not let him get too far either.
Well, and if you're Ben Kelly, you think about, we talked about potentially the strategy behind Grant Davis. If even if he didn't give the lead to his teammate, he gets past, you got to start rationalizing, looking for positives. Say, okay, this guy's a multi-time winner. He's a multi-time champ. He knows how to get the job done. All I got to do is just as much as it takes to keep him right in front of me. If you're Ben Kelly, however, you got this pesky kid right on your back that's wanting to steal your lines, wanting to steal your pace, and he's almost taking the win out of Ben Kelly's sails. Maybe Ben says, enough is enough. I'm going to drop the hammer, see if I can get just out of his sight, and then maintain that gap from there. Potentially, it might be the difference between breaking away and a two-rider fight for the win.
Yeah, it looks like the biggest lead we've seen today. So maybe Ben's just trying to break him right now and get away. And, you know, if he can get that gap, maybe it'll let him, you know, get a break and cruise it into the finish. But I don't think there's any cruising in this class. You got to go full out the whole time, and Ben's definitely one that can do that.
Well, and I'm going to go out on a limb as well. Have not heard this from either one of the riders as Cody Barnes makes his way through, but definitely think maybe some unspoken rivalrous type atmosphere, if you will, just because of that battle that came down between Grant Davis and Ben Kelly. The kid, as we called him all last year, he was pretty outspoken about wanting to bring it to the rest of the field. He says he might be a new face, but he is here to do one thing and one thing only, and that's win. So Kelly might be saying, hey kid, welcome to the starting row. Welcome to the XC1 class at the Wild Boar.
Yeah, the same way Ben Kelly's breaking away right now. Those two have both broke off from Cody Barnes. Yeah. Johnny G back there, well, seeing it for himself, man, that is a huge gap back to Barnes now. So both of those riders pushing the pace, but Kelly able to push it just a little bit farther. I definitely think Ben Kelly's making a push right now.
Almost seems like Cody's kind of in no man's land right now, too. I don't think Witkowski's come through. So, you know, it's kind of hard when you get into that spot, no man's lane, you know, try to keep going forward, but you don't have anybody pushing you. So we'll see what happens with Cody here in the next few minutes.
A big opportunity for Barnes right now, a potential XC1 podium. There's, we see Witkowski on the Phoenix Racing Honda tucking to the inside. Those ruts really starting to get chewed out and deep as well. We talk about the rollers. Sometimes can't quite see it on camera, but there's about 15 to 20 ruts within the faces of these rollers as well. So the two-wheel side of things, plenty complicated. Got to make sure to put those things in. Oh, and this is a big shakeup. Whoa. Gus Reardon, your XC2 leader, now finds himself in the pits. It looks like he's throwing those goggles back on, so he potentially going to be rejoining this race. But this is a big shakeup, not only for the day, but for the season. Going to dump some water down the Moose jersey, and looks like he's going to try to get locked back in and get ready to go off and rolling.
Yeah, definitely looks frustrated, which is understandable. But, yeah, I mean, the first round we had a lot of mud, and that's hard on the bikes. But also this deep sand is going to be really tough on these machines. You know, these guys are really about the only people in the world that can push them to the limit in off-road racing. So they're definitely putting a lot of strain on the bike, and we're seeing that now.
Seeing Ben Kelly continue to stretch things out little by little. Bike length here, bike length there, Johnny, but it all starts to add up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just bike lengths at this point. We can't even really count seconds. But as we see, you know who is counting seconds, and that's Gus Reardon as he's seeing his obviously lead. He's actually making a suspension change there, making a rebound adjustment, trying to make that machine feel a little bit better. Obviously, he was feeling well enough that he was out there leading the way, but he's also making a rebound change on the rear, or was thinking about it, and now he's thinking maybe better of it. We wait and we watch for the 99 of Cody Barnes, looking like he is about 50 seconds, give or take, back from the lead duo, but still with near a minute lead over Mike Witkowski, who's sitting in the number 4 spot. Looks like Barnes, if he's able to maintain that pace to the finish, should be able to hang on to a podium position. Still a lot of racing left. These guys are now approaching a white flag waving, meaning one more arduous, difficult torture chamber lap around this hog waller facility here for the Wild Boar GNCC. And Davis throwing a little back at it, trying to reel Ben Kelly back in just when you think Ben Kelly's starting to get away. Grant Davis, the kid, digging in and saying, nope, I still want this win, and he's fighting back.
Well, there's a time to do it. It is right here, right now. Last thing you want is any more confidence behind the number 1. If Ben Kelly got to feel there's a bit of bragging rights to being able to say you got the job done here in Florida. We remember last year the fight between Gerard and Russell, and this time it might be a 2-rider duo between the KTM of Ben Kelly and the KTM of Grant Davis.
Yeah, it looks like Davis really just kind of pushing, trying to get back to the rear wheel. There is a lot of energy saved mentally, like we talked about before, when you're right on someone. Right now, Grant not really close enough to kind of get the advantage of that mental draft, as I like to call it. But Ben Kelly looking like he does not want to let Grant Davis get any closer. Now he's ratcheting up the pace, and this is only going to continue to pull these two further away from Cody Barnes and Witkowski and the rest of the field behind them.
Yeah, he's pushing for sure. You can see him up over the bars. every single corner he's kind of, throwing a big roost. So, with 1 lap to go coming up, these guys are going to give it all they have, both from Grant, Ben, Cody, everybody. So it's going to be exciting here on this last lap.
Well, this is what it comes down to as far as we talk about strategy and pacing is look at this. Now Grant's got his teammate back in sight. Now going to be able to get just a little bit more of a tow. Davis knowing, oh, man, another deep section right there as they both funnel into the same line. Davis also probably going to use that to his advantage. We saw what happened with Draper. Now he doesn't have to worry about line choice if he can just follow his teammate wheeling their way through some of that water. But Davis knows he's got to go. Cannot let Ben get away headed into this final lap. Getting ready to take a trip through the pits one more time right before they see that white flag waving in the hands of Ricky Towery.
See that lapped rider getting out of the way. He has a freight train coming through, and now right to the rear wheel is Grant Davis. Looking like whatever Ben Kelly had figured out, Grant Davis has latched onto it, and this one may come right down to the wire. Grant Davis looking like he has just a little bit more pace right now, and we are expecting these guys to be on a 2-stop strategy, so we may see them nose to tail here in the factory KTM pits, and it looks like that is the case. They're coming in, each going to take fuel. We did see Ben Kelly throw his goggles. Kelly taking those fresh goggles, and look at this, the pass for the lead in the pits. Grant Davis in and out a little more quickly, and Ben Kelly now back in the tail gunner's seat here, and he is going to have to go back after Grant Davis, but it looks like Grant Davis looking like he sees an opportunity to try to run away with this one. He is full sprint mode at the moment.
Yeah, it looked like Davis might have waved off the hydration if it was even offered and wanted to take those extra few seconds. Meanwhile, got going, and maybe I could tell there was a little look back there from Davis back at Ben Kelly, but now we're going to find out what they're made of, as we like to say. It's going to be tooth and nail, wheel to wheel. And Johnny, at this point, he made that pass happen. I don't think we talked about potentially following, check some lines out. At this point, he wants to keep the number 2 in front of the number 1.
Yeah, but look at this. Ben Kelly coming right back after him saying, nah, kid, not today. You're not going to ride away with this one. He is charging for both these guys flat out. This is about all the pace they have at the moment. Now we do see Cody Barnes coming in there in that number 3 spot, looking like he is going to take that hydration, getting some fuel, the cap back on, and he is out and underway in pursuit, sitting in that final podium position in 3rd.
It'll be interesting to see how Grant holds up, because like what Jesse said, he's not wearing a hydration pack. He skipped his hydration on this lap. Like, we're getting into the dogfight now, and is he going to have enough hydration to get to the finish and keep going all the way there?
Yeah, absolutely. That is a factor. I mean, it is hot today. It's a very, very physically demanding race course, and these guys are pushing the limits. So Grant Davis, without the Camelback, can't just reach down and get a little sip of water or any kind of electrolytes anytime he wants. He has to rely on those bottles. I didn't actually see it, but Zach did say he waved off when they tried to hand him a bottle. So it could also be a situation where he's just feeling really good and saying, okay, 1 lap, this is just a 32-minute sprint plus this little section of racetrack they're in now. I got this. I don't need a bottle. I just want to sprint. And he's starting to stretch it out just a tiny little bit over Ben Kelly.
Yeah, and he's probably getting bottles other parts of the track too. So it's just something to keep in the back of our mind, but we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, Grant Davis, a few bike length lead. Ben Kelly, alternate line there to the right, opting for that kind of bigger arc heading into this section of racetrack, trying to get a better run through here. Will he be able to get back to the rear wheel of Davis, or can Davis ride away? We will see a white flag in the hands of Ricky Towery here in just a matter of a few moments.
Here we go on approach. You can see the fence line, the fans anxiously waiting for the KTM duo. And there it is, checking in. Grant Davis immediately followed by Ben Kelly. White flag in the air as the final lap off and rolling. I'm sure both these riders taking a big deep breath and saying, all right, here we go. Anything you got left, now is the time to lay it out there. Look at this, back and forth, side by side, slingshot around, and it looks like, whoa. We missed the pass itself. It looked like Kelly got it done, but might have, to take one out of Mikey Wayne's book, that might have been a grown man move.
It was. It looked like around the outside he had better drive through those rollers. He just went to the left side of the track right on screen. Caleb Russell in, getting some hydration and taking off. Believe he may still be sitting back in that number 5 spot. We'll have to wait till he checks in to know for sure. And Mike Wachowski, we did not see him on screen there, but think still running, circulating there in that number 4 spot, about 50 seconds to a minute behind Cody Barnes in the battle for that final podium position.
Yeah, even though those guys are teammates, you can see that they're not afraid to kind of push it in on each other, and they're both fighting for that #1 spot, #1 plate at the end of the year. So every point's going to count. They definitely want to be in the first place.
Barnes now checking in, and it is 1 minute and 1 second behind Ben Kelly. Now Grant Davis as they run on track, but Cody Barnes still charging and still in position to put that beta on the overall and XC1 podium.
That's good for Cody. You know, I didn't have a good first round, so to come back on a new team, new class, gives him some confidence. He had a lot of really good results last year, so see him up there, that's going to be interesting for the rest of the year to have him one more name up at the top.
Yeah, Barnes, and I think we've kind of established over the last 2 to 3 years, especially, we kind of that transition phase that we were accustomed seeing coming from the XC2 class. I think that might be a thing of the past. We talk about the programs that these younger riders have dialed into, where last year we saw Davis, Reardon, Barnes, and several others up inside the top 5 overall, up physically inside the XC1 field as well. Now these guys know how to manage races, they know how to dial in their programs, and they know how to steal away XC1 wins.
Zach, when we look at that gap of 1 minute and 1 second back to Cody Barnes, interestingly enough, he still ran a 32.02, a great lap time. It was actually the KTM teammates of Grant Davis and Ben Kelly dropping it down to a 31.02 and a 31.05 respectively. So Cody did come off of his pace just a little bit.
That's with a gas stop in there too.
Yeah,
so.
But I mean, Davis and Kelly absolutely shredding that lap, 31.02 and 31.05. They were about 30 seconds faster on that lap than they were on the previous lap of racing, really showing how hard they're pushing to try to get the better of each other, and they're dragging themselves away from everyone behind them. There's Witkowski now in the #4 spot, has checked in 1 minute and 18 seconds behind the third place ride of Cody Barnes.
Yeah, and I think, like we said, racing's personal, right? There's a lot of pride on the line. There's a lot of personal belief that is needed for each one of these riders. And these two young athletes went to battle last year for the overall championship. Grant Davis moving up, and he carried a little bit of swagger, maybe a little more outspoken, whereas Ben Kelly a bit more calm, cool, and collected, that quiet confidence that we talk about. But on the track, they're both out there to make a point. They know at this point it's mano and mano. We're on the same machine, same team. The question is, who is the fittest, the strongest, as looks like Davis losing a bit of time to Ben Kelly. We knew, well, you saw the sense of urgency from Davis out of that pit stop. He knew, hey, I got some clean air. I need to try to get away, make this as difficult as possible on Kelly. And Ben Kelly said, nope, I don't think so. I'm a two-time champ for a reason. He's trying to stretch things out.
Caleb Russell now checked in that #5 spot, 59 seconds behind Mike Witkowski. So there's where the gaps are. The lead duo, you can see him on screen in the same camera shot, separated by bike lengths or a few seconds. 1 minute and 1 second back to Cody Barnes in third. Mike Witkowski another 1:18 back in fourth, and Caleb Russell 59 seconds back in fifth. So a little over 3 minutes back off of that lead duo once you get back to those third, fourth, and fifth place positions, and you can see the lap times on screen there. Now, those lap times for Strang and Ashburn, those are actually lap 3 lap times. The top 5, those are top 4 lap times there. So that's the, I think we're going to see those lap times for Strang and Ashburn potentially drop off as well, as everybody except for Ben Kelly and Grant Davis slowed down on lap #4.
Yeah, we'll see if they can even take a few more seconds off on this last lap. You know, coming down to the finish, they're definitely going to be pushing everything they got. You might even see 1 or 2 guys get under that 31-minute time.
Well, what we saw leaving the pit stop there, I think that was Grant Davis testing Ben Kelly to see what he had left in the tank. Sometimes you don't want to poke the bear because Ben Kelly has responded, and it looks like he is starting to pull away ever so slightly from Grant Davis. There is Cody Barnes on screen. That is your third place position. An absolute battle going on out there right now.
All GNCC races are endurance races, but Logan, we talk about this one specifically. The riders, they've got to start while thinking about the end, right? You got to still be able to put in these charges and these hard fights, because like we said, the depth of the field now, you know, it's going to be somebody. It might be your teammate, it might be somebody else in the XC1 class, it might be a pesky XC2 kid, but nowadays the runaways, the breakaways, we don't see them near as much as we used to.
For sure, everybody's fit now. There's no secrets on people's, the way they train, the way they practice, especially on teammates. These guys ride together all the time at club. So it's no secret. They're both in shape. They both know how to push it. They both put in the extra moto, the extra bike ride, whatever it is, to be in this position on the last lap to to push all the way to the finish.
Well, and you can see how that has elevated their game as a whole as well. We talk about breaking away from the rest of the XC1 field. It's, you know, iron sharpens iron, the old saying as it goes. And to have not only them, you've got the rest of the KTM group. Obviously, Johnny Girard proved what he was capable of, while maybe even a little under the weather at round number 1. So they just keep chipping away. The rest of the field, whether they realize it or not, might have a bit of catching up to do.
Yeah, for sure. It's this top group, they seem to have a reserve. Like the old school Petcock motorcycles, they had a reserve. You get to that final lap, oh, I'm out of gas, I flip it to reserve, and it's just like you're going like normal. So that's kind of what these guys have. They've got a little bit extra in the tank that they can dig in, kind of dig their heels in and just really push to the finish.
So hanging here at the 3-mile mark. We will wait and check in, I believe, at the 5 with your leaders. As taking a look now, it's showing Jack Walker leading the way for your XC2 class. So how about that? Walker continuing to put in a solid push, and looked like he checked in just in front of Jason Tino. That might have been Walker right there, if not Barnes.
What a day that would be for that factory beta team there if Walker's able to grab his first win in that XC2 class, and Cody Barnes able to put it on the overall podium there in the number 3 spot where he's currently running.
Not only that, he's about the only guy that we see in that top 20 that's on a 2-stroke. And, you know, 2-strokes, in my opinion, kind of favor the sand. You can kind of float a little bit easier, keep it on the pipe, revving it out. You know, where rocks and stuff, it's a little lighter. It doesn't have the traction of a 4-stroke. So it's not really a surprise to see a 2-stroke up there. Plus, Jack rides that thing so good.
Liam Draper putting in charge now all the way up to the number 12 spot as he's jucked in. So that miscue earlier in the race, he is doing some great damage control out there, putting himself inside the top 15 overall. We do still have some overall amateur riders and some more XC2 riders to check in. He may get bumped back a few spots, but he's definitely made up a handful of spots here on lap number 4.
Yeah, he slots into that number 13 spot, right as you said that, as Gavin Simon now checks in the number 3 position for your XC2 field. So we had him confused there with Brody Johnson earlier, but the 249 of Simon, he has been extremely solid all race long in these kinds of conditions. So a standout ride for the 249. As look at that, up, still on the attack. Ben Kelly flying, and that's sand surfing, and that's sand surfing away is what that is. Wait a second.
Well, I think what we've seen is that test that Grant Davis put in there. Ben Kelly responded, and it looks, you know, early in the lap yet, but it looks like he has broken Grant Davis and now has a pretty sizable gap over the number 2 of Grant Davis, sitting in the number 2 spot.
So Davis still on the hunt, still charging hard. Didn't look like the bike was twisted up or anything, but like you said, there just comes a point where you can only push so hard, and seems like Ben Kelly, one of those riders that just keeps finding more, even when it seems like there's nothing left.
Shout out to Gavin Simon there in that number 3 spot in the XC2 class. I believe that would be his first ever XC2 podium. I think that he is a rookie in that class this season on that overall amateur podium. You had the opportunity to interview him many times last year, Zach.
Yep.
Standout rider in that 258 class, moving up to XC2. This could potentially be his first ever XC2 podium. Right now, he is holding about, sitting in the number 3 spot, Brody Johnson, 1 minute and 2 seconds behind him in the number 4 spot. Then it's another visiting rider, Jack Edmondson from the UK, who's only 2 seconds behind Brody Johnson, riding very well out there in the number 5 spot in that XC2 Pro Lights class.
Yeah, just like you said, Johnny, we saw Gavin on the top amateur charts most of our rounds. It was almost strange not to see him up there. And one of those kids with a lot of quiet confidence. He doesn't talk a big game. He really doesn't get too high or too low as far as the emotions go, but it's clear the expectations there, the work gets put in, and the results now starting to come along with it. So good to see Simon jumping up to that XC2 class and finding some success. For the moment, still 1 lap left to go, plenty left to happen, but yeah, we'll see whether or not Simon can hang on for a podium. Meanwhile, Davis continuing, I mean, just using every inch of the trail he can find, way over to the, I believe it'd be the right-hand side of that trail as they were approaching us, and skimming a couple of the palm trees, no worries.
And with Grant Davis having about a 1 minute and 1 second lead over Cody Barnes when they checked in there with 4 laps complete, he does have some breathing room. Not that he's giving up on this one. He still looks like he's riding with a lot of aggression. But if he gets to the point where he's gone so deep, he knows he just doesn't have the extra to give to go after Ben Kelly, he really does have a good kind of cushion there over Cody Barnes. But you don't want to leave up too much, because if you do, you're going to leave the door open and Cody Barnes may come back.
So, guys, just got an update there from Race Control about Angus Reardon, and I'm sure both of you can talk to us about this. He was caught by race officials being towed in by a spectator, and so they're saying everything from that point on is not going to count.
There you go. There is a no-tow rule in GNCC. Once you're hooked to and towed, you are done for the day. You cannot go back out on the racetrack. So unfortunate circumstance there for Reardon. He was riding very well and leading. And
so here it is, the final pits done and dusted. This was the big opportunity. Ben Kelly, Grant Davis. That's about as close as they've been for the last 20, 30 minutes or so. Davis getting the best of the pits, though, and taking over that #1 spot. But just like Johnny said, don't poke the bear. Two-time champ for a reason and multi-time winner here in the sands of Florida for a winner. Ben Kelly showing he's got more in the tank. Has he broken Grant Davis? Can he ride away to a win? We're all going to find out as we are less than half a lap away from a checkered flag. Here from the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. We'll see how it all closes out after this commercial break here live on Racer TV.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence. Order online at amsoil.com.
Unleash aggression, reliability, and premium quality with Kenda Tires. Delivering exceptional performance on all types of vehicles. Automotive, ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, bicycles, trailers, lawn and garden, and even golf. Trust Kenda Tires to guide you on your next adventure. Kenda, designed for your journey.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gasket seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best inside their engine. Cometic Gaskets are always constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environments. Whether it's a championship on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts alike depend on Cometic. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVNC.com. Get ready.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Palatka, Florida, man. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty here in this one, Zach. Not much more left, just at about 16, 17 minutes until we expect to see this man, Ben Kelly, at a checkered flag.
Man, he is certainly looking king-worthy right now as he has made a statement. We talk about the conditions, and I always think, just like we've heard, these riders know each other very well, all right? They recognize and respect their competition, but at the end of the day, just like Jesse Ansley said, they are looking for 1%, 0.5%. It is threading the needle. It is the tip of the iceberg, the tip of the spear. And so anything that these guys can hold on to as far as confidence building throughout the season, they're going to. a situation like this, Ben Kelly down in the first corner, working his way through the pack, having a tooth and nail fight with his teammate Grant Davis. If he's able to hang on like this, where he arguably made a statement without saying a word as far as how he feels coming into this season, you got to think it's going to be one Ben Kelly's going to look back on and say this helped push him to whatever the rest of the 2026 season holds. As we take a look at the Yamaha Racing live drone, Ben Kelly sand surfing right now, where you can see so much in the body English, the way these riders almost show fatigue, whether they mean to or not, kind of the heads bobbing, the back starting to arch over. Ben Kelly, it might as well be lap one. He looks as strong as ever and looks like he's continuing to push the pace, as he may be able to catch a glimpse of Grant Davis there in the background. He might have even pulled off too far from that, slipping away here at the 7-mile mark.
Ben Kelly, always one of the fittest riders on the track, and all right, there we go. So the gap continues to open up over Grant Davis, and exactly why is just the phenomenal riding that Ben Kelly is putting on deep into this one here at the FMF PowerPoint. 7-mile marker of a 14-mile track, so halfway through this final lap of racing. And Ben Kelly, again, just a rider that incredibly fit. All these guys are fit, but Ben Kelly, it's one of those things, once you prove you can do it, Florida is so mentally and physically demanding. You know, you start questioning not only whether or not you can finish the race, but honestly, a lot of times your life choices. Like, you start thinking there's got to be something I can do that's easier than doing this to make a living. Or if you're an amateur rider, this is fun is the question that goes through your mind sometimes. This race, again, kind of just all on its own, the way it shapes up. It is just so demanding. And Ben Kelly right now, just doing it better than everybody else.
As he continues to pick away, you see the way that gap has grown, and still got about 5 to 6 miles left of racing or so.
And as we get down to the nitty-gritty, want to update everybody at home on what's been going on as far as the riders out of this one, because we got several in our XC1 class. Stu Baylor looks like going to have 2 laps on the day. Everybody else, of course, on lap number 4. So it looks like Stu is going to be out of this one. Johnny Durar with 1 lap complete is out of it. Tyler Medaglia also 1 lap complete, so he's out of it. Same goes for Thad Duvall. So it has been a battle out there today.
Big shout out to some of our amateur riders checking in. Obviously, Lane Whitmer in that number 13 spot continues to climb forward. Jigs Fustini in the 18th spot. Colton Shields and now Braden Baisley moving up into the top 20 as well on the Blue Crew machine. So Baisley showing us a sign of life or late in this race, I should say, which might be even more impressive. Normally we start to see them fall off as the race goes on. Braden says, wait a second, I'm going to join the rest of the field. So the battle on for those top amateur positions as well.
Yeah, and the battle within class still going on as well, with Jigs Fustini having about a 39-second lead over Braden Baisley. And I got to say, Lane Whitmer putting on an absolute clinic in that 258 class with a 2-minute and 7-second lead over Colton Shields, but still a great ride for Colton Shields. When you're in the top 20 overall as an amateur rider, you are doing something right. Unfortunately for him, I know rider isn't a word, but Lane Whitmer just doing it a little righter.
Yeah, Whitmer and Shields coming out of that 258 class, so they're running 1 and 2. And then the same goes for Fustini and Baisley running in that 4-stroke A lights. I saw Baisley when he was headed out from your Yamaha tent there, Johnny, and he looked like he meant business today. He wasn't looking around. He revved that bike up, and he was headed out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these guys have all put in the work over the winter, and it's really showing right now. The Whitmer boys have been down here riding. Haven't seen much from Cole yet today, checking in out of that Open A class, but Lane is on rails out there, sitting in that 13th spot overall in the sands of Florida for an amateur rider. I mean, that really shows not only his fitness, but his mental toughness, because as we talked about earlier, even if you're fit, it's still a grind out there on a racetrack like this. Looks like we might have Cody Barnes on screen there. That is our 3rd place rider, still well behind Grant Davis, but putting in a phenomenal ride there in the number 3 spot for what will be his first XC1 podium. He's had overall podiums already out of that XC2 class, but in only his 2nd race in that XC1 class, putting himself in position to finish on that overall podium and the XC1 podium. Surely will be a happy guy up there on the podium, although he never really seems very happy.
Yeah, well, except when he's in the center. I'll put it like that. Barnes, he's not the same, very similar to some of the other riders we talked about. He's an even keel guy, not too high, not too low, but got to think there's going to be some big smiles, and should be some smiles for this guy as well. Mike Wachowski making his way through a very solid ride, was in that freight train and in that fight late into this one. We'll see maybe if he can kind of hit the afterburners right now, might be able to reel in the gap, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of ground to make up on Cody Barnes there. It was 1 minute and 18 seconds when they came through. It looks like it's around about that same time gap still, so really would need to make a lot of time in what is only about 6 miles of racetrack remaining. So you never count it out until it happens, but he's really going to have to get going or hope for a misfortune of some of the riders ahead of him.
Yeah, anything can happen in GNCC, but when you move up to the XC1, XC2 classes, that is a lot of time to make up in just a couple miles.
So, I believe this is, there is Ben Kelly making it, or was that Davis?
I believe that was Davis.
I think that was Davis. Might have missed Kelly coming through already, so. Yep, got word from race control, so Ben still checking in out front. There is Caleb Russell making his way through.
Yep, it's definitely one of those things where when you get this late into it, you just kind of dig so deep. And looks like now Josh Strang on a chart, so not too far behind Caleb Russell there. So that is a potential battle shaping up over that number 5 spot. And you can see the beta team there giving Josh the news that he does have a position up ahead of him on the racetrack and potentially fighting for what could be a top 5 for him here today.
Yeah, so far a solid day for the Liqui Moly Beta crew. Obviously Barnes in 3, Strang knocking on the door of a top 5, and then Jack Walker leading the way last we saw for that XC2 class. So some big things for that Liqui Moly Factory Beta Racing crew as we check back in here at the 9 mark.
9 miles with 5 miles remaining. Man, I got to tell you guys, when you get in a race like this, on a course like this, and you're clicking off mile markers on the last lap, they seem like on lap 1, it's like, wow, I'm already at the 9 mile marker. On the last lap, you're like, only the 9 mile marker? Like, it just seems to drag on. Maybe not for Ben Kelly, though, because he is just wanting this one to be over. So he is pushing the pace and just really kind of outmatching what anyone else, including his teammate Grant Davis, is able to do on this final lap of racing. Looks like they've got another bottle for him. He doesn't need that one. He's only got 4 miles. He looks just as fresh as he did on lap number 1. The Diesel out front, getting it done, just chugging along, putting himself in position to gain what would be his first win of 2026. Disappointing performance for him in the mud. Still got himself a top 10, scored some good points. And that's another thing we'll have to kind of start factoring in here as points as this race winds down. Looking at the riders that did well, I think Grant Davis obviously having a DNF at round number 1. Our round 1 winner, Johnny Gerard, out. Mike Witkowski obviously did have a pretty good run at lap number 1, and he is sitting up in that number 4 spot. Jordan Ashburn out of this one, or not out of it, but a little further back, and then Stu Baylor also out of this one. So, man, this is going to be a real shakeup in the points. Johnny Gerard obviously will not be the points leader. Jordan Ashburn will be in the mix, and Ben Kelly, with that 9th place finish at round number 1, had 12 points coming in. So he'll be, if he's able to close this one out, 42 points is what he'll be having. Jordan Ashburn, it may be close between Ashburn and Kelly for who's the points leader leaving here today.
Yeah, what a shakeup. Like you said, what a shakeup. This is a lot different than what we saw there at round number 1, including for Reardon. He was second there at round 1 in that XC2 class, leading the way here in the XC2 class at round number 2. And then having that, Johnny, we didn't really get to talk about that a whole lot, throwing it to break there, but I'm not sure if Reardon was aware of that rule. I know I said caught by race control, but I think he was just blatantly getting towed back and didn't quite realize the rule. Nonetheless, a rule is a rule, and I'm sure you can expand on it a little more. From the way I understand it, if you're towed back whatsoever, your race day is over.
Yeah, and the reason for that, it came up years ago, and the last thing that you want is to have machines out there, kind of waiting for riders and crossing the track. So it is a closed racetrack. You can't go out onto the track with support machines. You can go out there on bicycles, you can go out there on foot, you can help your guys. But, even if you're towed by an official, that's why the officials, and it's also, the rider's job to know, and I'm not bagging on Gus by any means, but you cannot get a tow of any kind. It could have been even a situation where he was near like an access road, and, one of the, whether it be just a casual observer, somebody had a truck, who knows what he was towed by, but you cannot be hooked to and towed by any. You can be pulled by hand, they can hook a strap to you and pull you, but you cannot be towed by any kind of a motor vehicle to get yourself back to the pitch. You do have to push the machine under your own power if you want to make repairs. Cody Barnes there in the number 3 spot, now through at the 10 mile marker. Only 4 more miles for him until he will see a very, very welcome sight, which is a checkered flag, meaning time to take a nap.
The closing miles here of round number 2, the Moose Racing Wild Boar, and man, this one has not disappointed from Saturday's ATV racing now to Sunday's bikes. GNCC returns to the Sunshine State, and no doubt about it, we have brought the action with us.
And as we look here, just doing some quick math, Jordan Ashburn sitting in that number 7 spot. If that is, in fact, where he finishes, that would be 14 points for him. If you add that to the 25 he earned at round 1, that would be 39 points. So it would actually be Ben Kelly, if he finishes in that lead position, with a 3-point points lead heading into round number 3 here in just a short 1 week's time. So definitely still close. If Jordan Ashburn is able to make a couple passes on this last lap, he could put himself in position. But right now, as they run, it would be Ben Kelly with the overall points lead heading into round number 3. Last year's champion getting himself back to the top of the points rankings if he can close this one out with the win.
Yeah, OPAG and the crew clocking in. Ben Kelly and Grant Davis. And last time we checked a few miles ago, 43 seconds was the gap between the number 1 and the number 2 machine. Continuing to follow along now with what I believe is Grant Davis aboard that number 2 machine. And it is. So following along with Grant. Watching him surf his way through the pine trees here. And Johnny, I talked about it a little bit yesterday after taking that lap for myself. There's no doubt about it. This is the kind of course where everything is out to get you out there, and I'm sure that's definitely the case right now. A lot of palmetto roots, a lot of stumps out there, just a little bit of everything from hanging vines, you name it. It is out here on this wild boar course.
Yeah, it's a tough one, and it's just getting tougher and tougher, not only by the lap, but honestly by the mile at this point. It keeps getting deeper. They're fighting for everything they have, and Ben Kelly has just been the class of the field here today, leading this one throughout much of the latter stages of the race and continuing to stretch that lead out now 43 seconds over Grant Davis, looking like it should be smooth sailing as long as he can keep himself upright and just clicking off mile markers. Waiting now here at the 11-mile marker for Cody Barnes to come through, and there he is on that number 99 factory Liquid Moly Beta, and looking to put that machine on the box for his first ever XC1 podium and another overall podium. He got a few of those out of the XC2 class like we mentioned earlier, and he is looking good and just clicking off the mile markers. Only 3 miles to go.
What a start to his XC1 pro career that would be. We know he's capable of it from his XC2 overall charts. And now trying to get it done in the XC1 class, as is Grant Davis. So the young guns, the rookies, really stepping up to the plate.
There we see Barnes taking that inside line.
Look at that, jumping through there almost like a tabletop on-off.
Coming into the pro pit section, and this is going to be a welcome sight for Cody Barnes and all these guys on the last lap, because they know from here it's just a quick trip around the backside of the auxiliary pits and amateur pits, and then they will be done with this one for the day. You're never as excited to see a checkered flag as you are on the sands of Florida. It just takes everything everybody has to offer. And there is Ben Kelly. Oh, that may not have been Cody Barnes, because there's Ben Kelly right there.
I'm sure those bikes, well, it started out as a nimble 200-pound bike, is now probably feeling like about 1,000 or a couple thousand pounds of machine under you.
Oh yeah, the fatigue, both physical and mental, is real at this point in the race, but Ben Kelly just managing it so well. Really doesn't look like he is feeling any effects, although almost has the effects of a lapped rider there as they just about collide coming into that tighter section of racetrack. And Ben Kelly navigating his way through now at the 12-mile marker with only 2 miles remaining. Looks like he has this one in hand with an upwards of 40-second lead over his nearest competitor and teammate, Grant Davis.
So Ben Kelly searching after that checkered flag in the hands of Mr. Ricky Towery, and he is not far from seeing it now.
Coming down into this final sections of pines, and this is it. Working his way through these pines, he's got another handful of little sections here. Nothing really challenging in this part of the racetrack, other than the racetrack itself, which is plenty challenging, but no mud holes, nothing really bad that could jam him up. He just needs to hit his marks, click off the corners, no more mile markers, and just make these few turns, and he will see a checkered flag waving. And what a welcome sight that will be for Ben Kelly in so many ways, to grab his first win of 2026, really get that momentum swinging in his direction after a disappointing round 1. And leaving here the points leader today, as it looks at least, that will be a big feather in the cap of Ben Kelly and a step in the direction of starting to chase his 3rd overall GNCC title and back up the 2 that he already has logged in the books.
There it is, getting into the final few stretches of race track now as we continue to follow along with the number 1 machine. Sitting in that top spot. Gonna approach a few more lap riders, making easy work of them.
And Kelly now just counting down, not even mile markers, but just corners. He can see the finish line off in the distance. This is it, folks. He's got one more left turn, and now he can see the finish line coming in. Ben Kelly, your 2025 GNCC overall champion, is now down to the final few corners to put the wraps on this one. His first win of 2026, grabbing the points lead and making a statement at what arguably will be the roughest race of the year. Ben Kelly takes the win.
The number 1 back on top. How about that? Ben Kelly going to take.
Fist bump.
Yeah, he's happy about that one, and he should be. He worked hard for it. Going to get some hydration there. I'm sure going to need to get cleaned up from this Palatka sand. There it is, everybody. There it is. Ben Kelly going to take the win here at the Moose Racing Wild Boar. What are you seeing?
The last lap, 30:44. How fast was Ben Kelly going? Real fast. Unbelievable. That is, I believe, I'm almost certain, the fastest lap of the race on the last lap of racing. 30 minutes, 44 seconds. We thought they really wicked up the pace when they turned a 31:02 and a 31:05 last lap. Ben Kelly digs even deeper and goes another almost 20 seconds faster on the last lap of racing. This man just made a statement that if anybody wants to have a shot at this 2026 overall title, they're going to have to come through Ben Kelly.
The champ doing champ things, getting it done with one of the fastest lap times of the race there on that final lap. And now seeing Grant Davis checked in. Grant Davis going to be able to pull it in for a 2nd place on the overall charts here at the Wild Boar.
Yep, 31:41 for Grant Davis. So his last lap was 31:02, so he slowed down about 39 seconds on that last lap of racing. Ben Kelly, to the opposite, went near 30 seconds faster on the last lap. That was really the tail of the tape when it came right down to it, Jackson.
Well, there it is. Now waiting on our 3rd place to check in what we expect to be the beta machine of Cody Barnes.
55 seconds, the margin of victory for Ben Kelly. When Cody Barnes checked in last lap, he was 1 minute and 1 second behind Grant Davis. Throughout the lap, looked like he was kind of hovering around that same distance behind Grant Davis, definitely looking like he is worse for the wear. I'm sure Ben Kelly is as well, but you surely couldn't tell it by his lap time on the last lap. Absolutely shredding. Grant Davis putting in a hero's effort for that number 2 spot and putting himself in position to really get back in this fight for this overall championship here in 2026.
Johnny, correct me if I'm wrong, but first XC1 podium for Grant Davis.
Yeah, it would be, and only his 2nd XC1 race. And Cody Barnes, if he crosses the finish line here in the next couple of minutes and is able to do the same, so that'd be 2 first-time XC1 podium, both of whom have previously finished on the overall podium, but from that XC2 class in their 2nd ever race in XC1. So that just shows the kids are all right.
Yeah, the big difference here, Johnny, going to be on those 450cc machines, or possibly 350 there for Grant. Cody Barnes on the big 480 machine, and then showing that they can clearly handle it.
You want to talk fitness, look at this. Ben Kelly looks like he just came off after a 20-minute practice session. And not to say that Grant Davis isn't fit, because he's very fit. These guys train together. But look at this. Here comes Cody Barnes. But that is a big difference there. Grant Davis looking absolutely spent, and Ben Kelly looking like he would have been fine if this was a 9-lap race. Cody Barnes on that factory beta, his first ever XC1 podium and 3rd overall on the day, getting the job done. Cody Barnes looks whooped, but man, was it worth it.
Welcome to the XC1 class, Grant Davis and Cody Barnes, and the rookies on top.
2 minutes and 6 seconds behind Grant Davis, so the gap's really starting to open up on that last lap of racing. The fatigue, the track really starting to take its toll, but Cody Barnes with a 32:44 lap time coming in and getting the job done for that final podium position.
So there it is, going to catch up with the guys here in just a minute and see what it was like from their point of view.
Still waiting on Mike Witkowski, Caleb Russell, Josh Strang, Jordan Ashburn, Craig DeLong, Jack Walker potentially grabbing the first ever XC2 win for himself and also for that factory beta team. We'll see if we can keep an eye on that one, but I believe our man Zach Herron is working his way down there to get some interviews with our top 3 overall: Ben Kelly, Grant Davis, and Cody Barnes.
Hey, thanks, guys. I am down here just past the finish line watching the hugs, the celebrations going on. Ben Kelly was just giving props to Grant Davis down here. They're talking about the race. Ben, we can grab you for just a second. We know Florida, it's brutal. You guys know it's going to be a suffer fest, and suffer you did. But, man, you suffered really, really fast. Take us through that race.
Yeah, man, I ripped a good start, but just stalled it in that first corner. I don't know, just came in a little hot and maybe didn't pull the clutch in enough or something. And yeah, it flamed out, so I kind of went down, and luckily no one ran over me in the dust, and yeah, I knew I was just going to have to work through the pack, but this race is brutal. Like, it's so easy to go too fast early, so I just, tried to conserve energy and pick guys off one at a time, and trying to pass people, like, you had to use a lot of energy, so, like, I'd use it, and then I'd conserve, and just slowly made my way to the lead and stayed steady. Grant was pushing me on lap like 4 and 5, and I was just staying smooth, holding my lines. Knew I was like fast enough to where I didn't think he could pass me, but he got by me in the pit, and yeah, he was ripping, and I just laid the hammer down and got past him and just picked up the speed a little bit, and yeah, got myself a nice, comfortable gap so I didn't have to battle him to the finish.
We could see the sense of urgency coming out of the pit. You had wasted no time to get right back around him and then started to spread things out. Is this the kind of round, just because of how demanding it is, where it gives a little feather in the cap, a little extra confidence knowing that you were able to grit it out and grab the win here?
Yeah, this is a man's race. It's tough. It's brutal. And, man, I wanted this win bad. I was salty after getting third last year. And, yeah, I just had to think about it all year and prep for this race. And, man, almost wasn't going to get it again. Just bad start and battling with Grant, and Cody Barnes was riding really good. And for a minute there, I don't know, I had no doubt. I had the confidence I was going to be able to get it. Just felt like I was going to be a little stronger. So as long as I could get back by him and hold my position, I was confident.
There it is. It's a man's track, and this weekend, Ben Kelly is the man.
Well, there you go. Ben Kelly coming through with that win, and that little celebration you heard there going wild. That was actually Josh Strang making the pass right at the finish line, or holding off Caleb Russell for that 5th place spot. Mike Witkowski coming in 4th, Strang 5th, 29 seconds behind him, and Caleb Russell crossing the line 1 second behind in that number 6 spot.
So there it is. And then going back to that Ben Kelly interview, if that is a conservative Ben Kelly, that is a dangerous Ben Kelly for the rest of the pack.
Well, we did hear him say laid the hammer down on that last lap of racing. And with a 30-minute and 44-second lap time, that is exactly what he did. Absolutely shredding this Wild Boar racetrack here on the final lap of racing. Looks like that maybe Jordan Ashburn now checking in actually Craig DeLong checked in the number 7 spot, getting around Jordan Ashburn, and Jordan Ashburn 9 seconds behind in the number 8 spot. And then still waiting on Jack Walker out of that XC2 Pro Lights class, Jason Tino, Gavin Simon as well. That will settle the podium positions in that class, and I believe our man Zach Herron is ready for another interview.
All right, thanks, guys. Hanging out down here with Grant Davis, finishing up in that number 2 spot. Grant, we were just talking, and I know you wanted that win, but you're taking the positives away. Got to be satisfied with that performance. A tough race out here, not just the track, not just the conditions. As the crowd goes wild here, man. Also, some tough conditions. You came together with a tree late in that race. Take us through it.
Yeah, I had a pretty good race. I got off to a good start from being in a pretty bad situation after Big Buck, but hey, I'll take it. I went second into the woods, followed, I'm pretty sure, Medaglia, I think it was, or something, and then had a pretty dumb crash first lap, actually. I don't know what I did, tucked the front end and went for the handlebars. Johnny went around me, caught back up to him. Me and Johnny were ripping together, and he let me by, and I was like, oh, shoot, maybe he's letting me lead a little bit, and then I didn't see him, so I don't know what happened to Johnny, but I kind of just cruised a little bit because my hand's pretty bad right now. It's hurting me pretty good, but, yeah, so I cruised. Ben got up to me. I'm like, all right, you can go, so I let him by, and I just followed him for a while. Then I passed him in the pits, actually going into the white flag, and I'm like, all right, I just got to push to the end. I know I can do it, and I smoked the tree with my broken hand last lap right after the finish line, getting the white flag, and I was all fired up, and but oh well, I'll take a second place for my second XC1 race ever, and I'll take it for a podium.
There it is. He's already fired up and looking forward to Talladega next weekend. Grant Davis finishing up in that number 2 spot.
There it is, Johnny. Hearing it from Grant and sounding like some hand troubles for him. The only back-to-back weekends we have coming up headed into Talladega, so hopefully Grant will be able to tend to that and be ready to go in a week's time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's this race is brutal. You know, you can see it on the faces of all the riders. And Grant letting us know that, you know, he obviously had that exchange with Johnny. Thought maybe it was just Johnny letting him lead. He obviously was unaware of Johnny's departure from the race until later, once he said he never saw him again. So some updates there from Grant. Always good to get it from the riders themselves when they come off. We can see it from the drone, but when we get it right from the riders' mouths, and speaking right from the riders themselves, it sounds like our man Zach is ready with Cody Barnes, third place
thanks,
overall.
guys. I was telling Cody I'm pretty tired from the last 3 hours. Asked him if he minds sitting down. So, Cody, dude, how good does it feel? You're on this new team, 2 races in, and we're on our first XC1 podium. Take us through the emotions.
Man, it's cool. I think a lot of people questioned my move, and I'm pumped to prove it to myself that I can be up here and run with these guys and prove a lot of doubters wrong. You know, I think a lot of people questioned the bike, the team, and everything, and I think we showed that, you know, it's a competitive brand, and I just tried to ride smooth, and I got with Grant and Ben, and then Ben got in the lead, man, and he dropped the hammer, and I was like, I gotta try and go with these guys, and man, when he drops the hammer, they drop the hammer. So got a little bit more work to do, but I'm pumped to bring it home in third. Third overall or no? Yeah, third overall. So did it. It's good, but we have more work to do. But yeah, I'm pumped. Thank you to the whole Beta USA team. Josh, my mechanic Denny, man, he's been busting his butt. Just Tim, the president of Beta, for believing in me. Bryce, the suspension guy at Beta, just everyone behind the scenes, my wife Jade for all her support, Carl from Moose, 60, Alpine Star, there's a whole bunch of people that stepped on board this year, and I'm really pumped to put it on the podium for them.
There it is, turning question marks into exclamation marks. Cody Barnes gets his first XC1 podium.
Well, Jackson, there you go. Right from his mouth, you know, some people talking about maybe questioning the decision to go with Beta. Well, not only did Cody Barnes put it on the podium, Josh Strang in 5th overall, so that's 3 Betas in the top 5. I think that means that brand and those machines are here for real. They're here to stay. And Cody Barnes with his first ever XC1 podium. What a day for that brand, that team, and that rider.
And speaking of Beta, look at that, Johnny. XC2 class checks in, and Jack Walker going to get the win. And it sounds like Zach Herron standing by with him now.
Yeah, just walked over to Jack Walker, said it's TV time, baby. You grab an XC2 win. This comes with the territory. Absolutely flying, pushing your way towards the front of this XC2 field. Just take us through how you were feeling out there, because it seemed like every time we caught you on camera, you were just floating out there.
Yeah, honestly, that's what I did all day. I wasn't over pushing, and I was just riding up a gear and just letting the bike do all the work for me. And my setup was really good, and we came through, and I seen caught Tino, I think third to fourth lap. And then I seen Gus on the ground, hope he's all right. But after that, I had a really hard crash, and I was nervous, I was stressing. And then I thought to myself, you either give up or you regret it for the rest of your life. So I just kept going and chugging along.
There it is, no regrets. Jack Walker walking away with your XC2 win.
Well, there you go, Jackson. First XC2 win for Jack Walker. Also, that Beta team with a phenomenal day today, like we talked about, and what an action-packed day it was.
Yeah, what a wild day it was here, round number 2, especially, Johnny, compared to round number 1. Put them in a salt shaker and shake it up. That's about what happened today for the most part. You're going to take a look here at our specialized race recap, and you're going to take it from the start. There we go. And off the line, it was Tyler Medaglia that was able to get it done. That is definitely a big stick out to me in this one. Hard to show up to a GNCC and pull something like that off, but he did just that, as you see, getting the whole shot. A few of those riders going down, including Ben Kelly, today's winner. That's another big takeaway from that one.
Yep, but Grant Davis was quick on the trigger as well, up there into the number 2 spot right away. edging out Jordan Ashburn there. And these guys were on a mission right from the rip. Things were getting hot and heavy, and when the woods, it all started to shake out. Tyler Medaglia leading quite a bit of the first lap. Johnny Gerard into the number 2 spot. Grant Davis jumping in behind his teammate there in the number 3 spot. And then Johnny Gerard getting himself to the point position and taking over the lead. This was Grant Davis around the outside of Tyler Medaglia, taking over the number 2 spot. And then Medaglia coming back and saying, not yet, kid. I still got a little more to show. And he was very, very fast here on lap 1. When it came down to it, at the end of the first lap of racing, it was Johnny Gerard leading the way, Grant Davis in the number 2 spot, and this is where it really started to shake out.
No doubt about it. One of the other key notes from this, of course, Johnny going to have to call it a day here soon after. And there it is. Tough break for Johnny Gerard, especially after that opening win. And this is where this man able to get himself up in the lead at least until Ben Kelly comes into the picture. As you see right now, Ben absolutely on a tear here today. He works his way up through the entire XC1 pack all the way up to the very top spot.
Yeah, this was Liam Draper after he tried to go around the outside and make a pass on Cody Barnes. He went ahead and kind of tried to amend his line right there at the last minute, ended up in some very deep water, drowning out that machine. He did get going again, but this continued to be the battle for the lead between the 2 KTM teammates of Ben Kelly and Grant Davis. And Cody Barnes there throughout much of the early and middle parts of this race. And then Ben Kelly really starting to wick it up as the race got deeper. Grant Davis giving chase, actually coming back, getting very close to Ben, actually making the pass in the pits. This was a heartbreaker for Gus Reardon. Was in the number 1 spot in that XC2 class, and then ultimately we found out having to depart the race to some unknown mechanical issues, and then finding out he got towed and was not able to finish the race. Ben Kelly and Grant Davis in the pits, and this was the pass for the lead as Grant Davis in and out of the pits quicker. Ben Kelly right back to it, and this was where Grant Davis really laid it down, trying to march away from Ben Kelly, but it didn't take long before Ben Kelly was back on his rear wheel, and he was pushing the pace, wanting that point position back very, very quickly.
And that was probably the keynote of the race. Ben Kelly able to get up into the lead, and Johnny, he was not about to give that one up. Grant Davis holds solid, especially after hearing about the hand injury that he is dealing with. Here today, able to fight through. No doubt about it, we knew he was tough. He continues to show that toughness, our latest testament of toughness here at GNCC.
Coming across the finish line, Ben Kelly, first win of 2026, taking over that points lead. And then it was Cody Barnes in the number 3 spot with Grant Davis between them in the number 2 spot. The gaps really did open up at the end there, but Ben Kelly looking almost fresh when this one was said and done.
No doubt about it. Ben Kelly calm, cool, and collected even after 3 hours of some of the most grueling racing in the world. So that was your Specialized race recap. And your top 10 overall: Ben Kelly, Grant Davis, Cody Barnes, Mike Wachowski, Josh Strang, Caleb Russell, your XC2 winner, Jack Walker, Craig DeLong, Jordan Ashburn, and Grant Baylor able to salvage a top 10 overall. Liam Draper able to salvage a top 10 in the XC1 class here today, even after all those problems that he had, Johnny.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for Liam Draper to get some points there, that's a big day. It was obviously a heartbreaker. He was running up front at the time, but man, what a race. This one was wild.
What a race indeed. Johnny, normally this is where we do our takeaways from the race. What was your big takeaway today?
I think my big takeaway from today, 2 things. Number 1, first and foremost, Ben Kelly with the win today, proving the defending champion. Any questions there was about, after round 1, him with that less than stellar performance just inside the top 10, he answered those questions today in the sands of Florida in a big, big way with that fastest lap of racing on the last lap. Ben Kelly is here to play in 2026, and a big shout out to the Factory Beta team and that Beta motorcycle with an XC1 podium and overall podium, another Beta in the top 5 with Josh Strang, and also the XC2 win for Jack Walker. Those boys are here to play.
No doubt about it. My big takeaway is going to be the rookies are here to stay.
I like it. I like it.
All right, guys. Well, man, this has been it. The Moose Racing Wild Boar did not disappoint. We got some upcoming broadcast tomorrow, Monday, RCSX. Going to be live from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We hope you join us for that. Next week, 7 days time, or 6 days for our Pro ATVs. We'll see you next week in Talladega for that. Then our Pro Bikes, of course, on Sunday. And then J-Day, round number 2. Going to be headed to Club MX. Don't miss that. And to close it out, We would like to give a thank you to our executive producer, Kerry Russell, our producer, Adam Gordon, our director, Don Hampton, our replay artist, Cam Cotter, our engineer in charge, Jordan McFadden, second engineer, Jack Renner, manager, Dan Reinhardt, our official spotter, Hollywood, David Kripe, our camera operators, Josh Hefner, Adam Hart, Jamie McCreevy, Adam Atkins, Matt Gabriel, Mike Nichols, Dave Kelch, and Jack Renner. Our drone pilot doing a great job today, Gabe Scholl. And then, of course, our talent here today, Zach Herron, Johnny Gallagher, and then myself, Jackson Burrow. Thank you for tuning in to RacerTV.com.